What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our first ever episode of our newest show. It's so new.
So new.
Called Critical Screen.
Critical Screen.
Star Wars Edition.
Special Edition. Star Wars Special Edition.
Special
but
Edition.
Good. But
where we added a bunch of effects.
Yeah, I've always wanted there, actually on your screen, I always wanted there to be an alien walk by slowly. We just don't have the technology right now, but later we'll put that in CGI.
Or I could get a real alien.
That's true, but I'm out of those.
Well, that's your fault. So today, what are we talking about? And so what are we doing?
We're talking about Star Wars. So Critical Screen is just kind of be like our outlet for talking about movies, because we like movies a lot, and we like to talk about them. And our favorite movies are also the most divisive movies, and that is the Star Wars.
Because we have the worst fan base.
It's so. It didn't used to be that way. It didn't used to be that way.
I never heard it said so fucking hilariously, but someone said, like, no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
That's not true. I love Star Wars. I even love the failures.
No, but it's like people who, like, Star Wars fans are, no one complains more about Star Wars. No one hates Star Wars more than actual Star Wars fans.
It's true. No one complains. Well, no one complains like a fan.
There's those real purists who only like episode 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And that's
you can't totally blame them, because
I can.
They are. You shouldn't. That's not nice. That's not nice.
Bad.
Christopher Walken doesn't enjoy it.
He's not even in.
So
Star
today,
Wars. It's crazy.
We're talking about
in
episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Applesauce. So today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna sort of break down each Star Wars movie week by week, starting from the very first one ever made in 1977.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
Because duh.
Hold on. Get a good call. It's not. Oh, sorry, Mr. Lucas. Okay, I love you too. So that one was actually made in 99.
Oh. Well, yeah. He should have put this one out first.
Yeah, I mean, it's called episode 1. I don't get the idea. I don't get the
deal. What a dumb.
What is even a Star War?
Battle amongst the stars.
So we're going to be breaking them down week by week, different movie, right? We're going to go chronological, except for the extended stuff we're going to save till later.
We're going to
go straight, numbered stuff, okay? If it doesn't have a number on it, it ain't going to be on our list.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
No Ewoks, except for in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, they're scary. I don't like them.
Terrifying.
They're really terrifying. Like, yeah.
Today we're not talking about Return of the Jedi, though. We're starting off with episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace.
We're gonna sort of break it down. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna do it?
Well, before we even start talking about it, let's just talk about how incredibly hyped this movie was when it came out. I don't think anyone can, like, if you were born in 99 or later, you will never comprehend how much hype there was for this. I've never seen anything with this much hype since.
No,
it was incredible. Like, it was on every news station for weeks. People talking about Star Wars. It was incredible. Because I mean, when did Return come out? Like 83 or 82?
82. No,
like
83. No,
that's crazy. I'm pretty sure it was 82. But like early 80s, we didn't have anything until 99. Like, and I don't know about you, but I didn't think we'd ever get another Star Wars movie. No one did.
Oh no. That's why the extended lore was so vast. That's why we had so many comic books and so many action figures and just like so much shit around it, because it was like, well, probably not going to get another. And then when they did the special editions, where Lucas started to display some of his madness, which we probably should have caught on a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
They re-released those, obviously, and we were like, oh my god.
I
went to the theater to see those damn movies, and they added we were obsessed because they were adding like 4 seconds of new shit, and it was
I went to see it. I went to see it. I was
All
there
three.
I was there at every. Yeah, it's just yeah.
I was so hyped for those. That's crazy.
Yeah, we were already hyped for just them re-releasing 30-year-old movies.
and those were my favorite movies of all
It's
time.
20 years.
I would literally watch I would watch them all just over and over. Like
I do.
I watched. There was a time where I watched Return of the Jedi at least twice a week, if not more. And then yeah. So to say, and then not to mention, I was 12 when Phantom Menace came out. So I was like that fucking age where I was just pure, just like little boy hype.
99 came out in 99. So I was 14.
Yeah, you were 14. So we were that prime age.
Yeah, it was like prime preteen.
We were
age.
so ready, dude.
Yeah.
And then it came out, and we saw it in the theater. And
do you remember your experience like going to the?
Yes.
I imagine you going to the midnight, because I went to the midnight.
I didn't go to the midnight. 5. I went to the Cinema 5. I didn't go to the midnight though. I went it. No, wait. You know.
Call yourself a fan. Wow.
Are you sure it was Cinema 5? Because it wasn't Starplex open. I thought it was Starplex. I could swear I remember it was one of the first movies I saw at Starplex.
They were both open at that point.
Okay, so maybe
they're both open.
So it was one of the first ones I saw at Starplex that I remember, and yeah, I remember sitting there going with my dad, and it happened to me, and and I remember
the movie happened to me.
at the end of the movie. I'll never forget this. My dad, who was a mega Star Wars fan himself, just stood up and went, "Well, son, that was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life."
Well, what about you? Like, you were 12. Like,
I didn't, even when I was 12, I didn't love it. I actually, like, I remember being like, because I was so confused. I was like, I want to love everything that's happening, but I don't, this doesn't feel like Star Wars really. Like it didn't have that same feel that those other movies did. It has this like such a different thing, and then
which I think Lucas did that on purpose, but that we'll get into that later.
And those things can be forgiven now.
He didn't do it well.
But yeah, I liked it. I think I still can't even remember like how I felt because I was so conflicted, and then there was just that onslaught, right? That onslaught of people after the movie came out. We're just like,
do you remember the like people are like nowadays with the sequels, they're like, oh, the sequels are terrible. This is terrible. But I don't think people realize the backlash of Jar Jar. Like, people were burning effigies of Jar Jar in like processions against Jar Jar.
And the actor almost killed himself like multiple times.
So did Jake Lloyd. So did Anakin. It was just a terrible. It really brought out the vitriolic nature of the fan base.
And Jake Lloyd is actually still, he's either in prison or he's in a mental hospital for like attacking his mom.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, was he born with this like mental illness, or was this like something that happened?
It was probably definitely exacerbated by the constant attack of the clones. I mean, the fan base. Me, I remember opening night scene with my friend Billy, and I remember walking out really enjoying it. I'm pretty sure that was just like the Star Wars high, because there were people dressed up and like the whole like hype atmosphere. I think I was still riding that high. I was kind of mad at my dad at the time, because like I felt like he was being unfair. You know, I didn't know. Jaded old man.
Yeah, I was just like, because of course my opinion is he's gonna affect my opinion, because like I'm a little kid, I like love my dad and stuff.
Yeah,
so I was like,
you see your dad hate a movie, you're like, maybe
it does. Oh, maybe it does suck. But like, it wasn't just that. It was like there were parts like I loved the pod race. We'll get all into that.
Me too.
I love the last saber fight. You know, I really did. Darth Maul was so cool, but then there was a lot of other things in that movie that I was kind of like, I don't know, like, you know, like, especially, and even as a kid, I don't know why Jar Jar was such the face of the hatred, but to me, Anakin was so much more irritating.
Yeah,
than Jar Jar was, because Jar Jar at least
I
was
feel
like
like they definitely dropped the ball with not Jar Jar. They dropped the ball with Anakin.
Jar Jar's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah,
it's
like Jar Jar
he didn't
is
do anything
successful
wrong.
at being what Lucas wanted him to be. Lucas wanted him to be a light, silly slapstick kind of counter to this serious story about political intrigue and bureaucracy, which is cool on paper, executed very badly. So I guess on that note, we'll get started on talking about the actual movie.
So the movie opens up.
The movie opens. Now, this is one thing I noticed. This is the only Star Wars movie next to Empire that doesn't start
with a ship.
With a pan. Well, it doesn't start with a pan down or a pan up to a planet.
Yeah.
There's really there's nothing to this. It's just something I noticed. I'm like, hey, this doesn't start with a planet pan.
Yeah, it starts immediately. It starts on the space station, right?
Well, it starts with a shot of the ship going towards the camera, and then the camera cuts to behind the ship going towards the planet. That's the same thing with Empire. It starts with the Star Destroyer going towards Hoth, and then it jump cuts to behind, or it jump cuts to below it with the droid, the drones coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's just something I noticed. I'm like, because they always use the pan down.
I remembered the Star Wars always. Yeah, it's always the pan and the ship. Like always a ship flying over.
Yeah, there's always a ship.
So, and then it's the those fucking guys.
The Nemodians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's them in the ship and they're talking about shit.
Yeah, they're going towards the well, first of all, that Jedi ship they're flying is super cool. It's a shame that it gets blown up like almost immediately, because that ship design is really cool. It has like those 3 big engines on the back, and then it has like this neck that kind of goes up.
Yeah, it's weird that you don't see that design again.
Yeah, because it's a little chunkier looking than most of the ships in the prequels. Because most of the prequels look real sleek and shiny and pretty.
Which again is also just such a weird, like, because it's supposed to be in the past. That was like, I think a lot of people's like problems with the movie was like, it feels like the future. It doesn't feel like the past. Like they didn't. But
I kind of like that though. I like that like, because the point of looking back to the Republic. I mean, this was like the Republic on its last bit of plateau. This is right before the Republic just descended. So having everything be really pretty and pristine, it just goes to show how terrible the Clone Wars must have been. Just from seeing like how pretty the 30, 40 years ago was. Like you can kind of construe that, wow, the Clone Wars must have been really bad to pretty much turn the entire galaxy into garbage. It's an interesting, I think that's what he was going for. I don't think it didn't come out as well as I think he planned, because it was a little too shiny in places, but I think that was his idea.
As a fan of, one of those people who I love Star Wars ships and vehicles and stuff, I think there's almost like great. None of them look bad. Like they're all so fucking cool.
Yeah, they're all original, and
except for the Naboo starfighters, I think those look
really.
So
I'd like them.
Stupid.
They look like little forks.
They're yellow. They're like so brightly yellow. They look so stupid. They're just, I don't know. They're just so bright, and it just like, I don't know.
They look different though, which is nice. I think what Lucas wanted to do was just make something that looked different, in that when the audience saw it, they'd be like, oh, this was a different time. This is when everyone was happy and no one was paying attention to the bureaucratic rot going on beneath the surface, which I think that's why Coruscant works so well. And we'll talk about Coruscant later, because it's pretty much this big rotting city. It's just like this citywide planet, and underneath it's just
Coruscant's awesome.
Coruscant's a great concept.
Yeah, it really is. So we have the Jedi breaking into the ship.
Yeah. So they landed on the ship. I love it. It starts with you don't even see the Jedi's faces until they get into that room.
You see them cutting through the.
Well, you see their. All you see is just the back of them in the beginning, and then when they get into that room, they finally unveil. I don't know. I was like, it kind of like this whole opening section I like because it just goes and just shows how powerful the Jedi were, because like they show off constantly in that opening.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and we see we first see like them jump really high.
Yeah,
jump like
they do their fast run.
Yeah, they're like exhibiting their superpowers at the beginning.
Yeah, which we really like.
Seen.
I don't know. I think that we'd never see those in the original. Like the sword fights were like.
I mean, only in episode 4.
Yeah, but you really can't. Even when you look at like the most dynamic fight of the original trilogy, I mean, compared to the Duel of the Fates fight, it's like, oh, that's cute. They're having a sword fight.
The whole thing with that is that the sword fights, you know, they weren't supposed to be a dance. They were supposed to be like two samurai.
Yeah, I mean exactly. That's my point. Like, and in this past, the Republic is so bloated that when they fight, they don't even fight. They're just like, it's like a game to them. They're just, you know what I mean? It's like everything's all like jumping up and spinning around.
That's why I liked when in the new trilogy how they returned to form with the like that very deliberate single strike like.
I don't think that's the form though. I think they made them fight fancy and crazy on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know if it goes that deep. I think it just looks cool.
No, I think he did that on purpose because.
Well, I mean, of course he did it on purpose, but I mean, I don't think it's like some deep lore reason. I think it's just like, wouldn't it be cooler if they were like flipping around like they were fighting? Like, oh, of course it would, you know.
But the only reason that they did that in lore is because they had the Jedi Order and that spanned the galaxy, and they basically just like took children in and trained them, and of course like people were going to fight. There was tons of different types of fighting styles, and things got a little crazy. So like I don't know, I like that they fought different than they did later because there's no one to train. There was no one to train anyone in the later movies. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
who trained? Like, who trained anyone? No one. Everyone just kind of like.
Well, yeah,
we're doing the best.
But at the very bottom of it, that's probably the least like problematic thing with that movie. It's actually pretty awesome.
No, I like that. I like that.
So yeah, then we have them confront. They like sneak in there and they confront the.
Got a bad feeling. Got a bad feeling about the first line of the movie. Got a bad feeling about this.
I remember my dad like groaning when they said that because he was like, already like you blew your load. Like, that's like the one thing you're supposed to wait for, like a good spot to throw it in, and it's like you said at the beginning, but that's fine. So then they get to the. Go ahead.
Well, I have a note here. I have like 6 pages of notes, so hope you're ready to have fun. Qui-Gon, we're talking about how awesome Qui-Gon is, which he really is awesome, and like almost immediately it sets up his character because he immediately challenges Yoda's wisdom. It's like Obi-Wan's like, you know, I sense a disturbance. I sense like there's something in the future, and he's just like, yeah. What does he say? He says, Obi-Wan says, but Yoda said, be mindful of the future. But Qui-Gon goes, yes, but not at the expense of the moment. Which, yeah, it's just it's super indicative of the Jedi Order because they're so afraid, and that was their downfall. They knew that Anakin was the chosen one, but they couldn't see his future, so they didn't train him, or they didn't want to train him, which doesn't make any sense. Like they sense he's the chosen one, but they're so afraid of him, a 9-year-old boy, that they're just like, no, he's too old. Like,
yeah, I
you
always
guys
thought
are a
that
bunch
was
of
weird when
pussies.
they said he's too old. I'm like, when the hell are you
Yeah.
supposed to start training these fucking kids?
Exactly. That was just bullshit because they
and then are they not supposed
definitely
to
train
speak yet?
What are you
If
supposed
they're
to be
older
infants?
than 8 months.
But yeah, they're obviously. I mean, all we ever see the council do is sit on their little floaty chairs. That's literally all we see them do in all three movies, is just sit on their floaty chairs and go, "I'm afraid. I'm afraid."
Yeah. Except for Mace and Yoda, and
that's because they're forced out of their chair whenever the Clone Wars starts.
What are they? They're what? They're forced out of their chair.
Nah, capital F.
Boom.
Oh. But like, yeah, we're immediately introduced to Qui-Gon as someone who's like, no, Yoda's wrong. Which just at first you're like, wait, Yoda's wrong? But Yoda's never wrong. He's Yoda. Which is nice. Let's see. So yeah, then we cut to Darth Sidious talking to the Nemodians.
Yeah.
Which is great because like
I hate that race so much. They're just so like they're okay, I guess. But
I kind of like them because they're only dangerous legally. Like their whole thing is like they won't do anything unless it's legal.
And like, is there? I mean, I'm sure someone will correct me on this, but is there like any one of those guys that's actually like tough or like has like a...
that's the point. They're almost like a like if there was a species of bureaucrats, that's what the Nemodians are, because they're talking to Sidious and like Sidious is like invade and just like invade Naboo, blah. And then the Nabonian is like Gunray, I think his name is. Something Gunray.
Viceroy.
Yeah.
Viceroy Gunray.
Viceroy Gunray, something like that.
The Viceroy.
And then Gunray's like, we can't do that. It's not legal. Like they drove all the way over there, and like he's like, all right, attack, and he's like, but it's not legal yet. And then Sidious goes, I'll make it legal, which is like your first like, all right, there's something going on. You have this bureaucrat species that's invading this planet, and then they're like, we can't attack, it's not legal. And then this mysterious guy goes, I'll make it legal. Which I don't know. I love Palpatine in this trilogy. He's my favorite part because like he plays everyone perfectly. Like
because he
manipulates everyone.
Is Palpatine from? I mean, it's like
it's so beautiful.
He's so. I mean, it's amazing that they have the same actor, but he just happens to finally be as old. It's like Palpatine is crazy because like I never realized that dude was like in his 30s when he played. Because I was like, how is he alive? It's like,
is he actually like, the Emperor?
Like, yeah, it's like, how is he still alive? And then like, I always forget his actor's name.
Ian McDermott.
Ian McDermott. Yeah. And he's not like in a lot lot of other stuff, which is weird.
He is a stage actor. He's a stage actor, I believe. So he doesn't do a lot of movies like at all. He's a great actor though.
Yeah. Your friends. The
fate in your friends is yours.
No. I actually really like that part.
Yeah.
So we move along to Naboo after they're talking to him.
Oh no, I want to talk about the the part where Qui-Gon is trying to get to the Nemodians, and he's like pushing his lightsaber into the door.
To the door.
Like he like literally just like pushes it in, and his hand is like touching the molten steel, and he's just like do. No, I mean you can explain that away with the Force, which
sure
you can roll your eyes out, but I mean that's what these movies do. Let's be honest, they're just like Force.
Yeah, the Force.
It's happens. Just funny that you just see him like push it in there, and it's like his hand should be on fire right now.
Yeah, he's using Force armor.
He's using Force armor, pretty much.
Duh.
Oh, what the heck? Yeah, they go down in Naboo, and you see the Queen with her monotone voice. Hello, I am the queen. Which I get why they did it,
Chancellor.
Chancellor.
So is it always when it shows the queen in makeup? Is that ever Natalie Portman, or
Yes.
is that always?
It switches.
Okay.
Yeah, she sometimes as dressed as a queen, sometimes as the handmaiden.
No, but when it was oh my God, what's her name? She's
Natalie Portman.
The other one, the one who was the stand-in queen, who wasn't Natalie Portman.
I don't know.
Keira Knightley.
That was Keira Knightley?
Yeah, Keira Knightley is like the stand-in queen, but I don't know if she's just the stand-in queen in the third movie or the second movie.
I don't think that was Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley's in it, right?
No.
I think she's like the stand-in queen at some point.
No, like the stand-in queen dies at the beginning of the second one.
Or the second one. She gets blown up. She's blown up. But I'm pretty sure that's Keira Knightley and not Natalie Portman.
It's not Keira Knightley. I don't know who it is. Some actress.
I think it's Keira Knightley. Yeah. Even if you look it up and I'm wrong, it still is Keira Knightley.
I agree. Let's see. Yeah, then we go to the gung. Oh boy, you introduced to Jar Jar. So they sneak on board a ship. The two Jedi. You're right, sir. What does he say?
When they take escape pods and they down to the planet, right? And then they come. They're on Naboo. And it's the Gungans, and they meet Jar Jar because he's running from a giant beast, and he's like,
he's running from the incoming.
Or no, he's running from the Trampede. That's what I was about to say. The Trampede. And he's running.
The droid ships.
They're like, oh fuck, and then they all are like, he's like, I'm Jar Jar, I'm stupid, and they're like, oh cool.
Just imagine if like Jar Jar wasn't annoying. Just wouldn't that be nice?
It would have been nice.
It really would have been nice if they even dialed it down to like the way the other Gungans speak, which they don't speak nearly as annoying.
No, like Boss Nass and a lot of them are more like,
they just are talking like this.
They're kind of they're kind of like weird, but they're not irritating.
Yeah,
they're like. And so they're like, we need to blah, blah, and then Jar Jar's like, I take you to my leader guy. And then they put on those, like, convenient plot device masks that let him breathe underwater.
Yeah, it is convenient, but, I mean, I'd like to think the Jedi Knights were, like, the Galaxy Boy Scouts.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't, like, totally, it's not totally weird to, like,
do you know what does make no sense, though? I never thought about this until my last viewing, but okay. So the Nemodians' plans are to land and take over the Naboo capital, and then get Padme to sign a document that makes it legal that they invade.
Right.
That's pretty much it. So
sign the display.
So the two Jedi sneak on board an invasion vessel, and the vessel lands on the other side of the planet. Why? Because they get to the Gungan city, and then they're like, we need to get to Naboo, or I forgot the capital where they live is. And they're like, the fastest way to get there is through the planet's core. What? Why would the Nemodians park their invading vessels on the other side of the planet? I don't know.
To give like a 2-hour-long movie.
Exactly. Padding. This is all just narrative padding. This is probably one of my least favorite parts of the movie because it just doesn't make any sense.
No, it's literally just so it'll take that much. Yeah. It'll take them time to march their troops over. I
think the way they did it, or the reason they did it, was George wanted he wanted he wanted the scenes. He wanted those scenes. He wanted the scenes of them swimming down into the Gungan city. He wanted those scenes of them going against the fish. But he didn't write, like, he wrote the story to cater to the scenes and not to the other way around. Like,
yeah, this was the birth of CGI, essentially, you know, in its full form, where you could use it throughout a whole movie.
Yeah. And you know, George, he's like, I want to use CGI.
So he's like, what's better than making a bunch of crazy looking giant fish and, you know, like, a big city filled with CGI fucking.
Which, you know, if it would have made sense narratively, I wouldn't mind it. Like, whatever. But like, why do they have? I don't know. It's like, why park on the other side of the planet? Because
I never really thought about it before.
So they meet the Gungans. Boss Nass is awesome. I love Boss Nass. I love how sassy he is. He's just like, oh, the boys will never help us. He's just like, has this, like, not really a vendetta, but he's just like, man, those guys are jerks. Those are assholes.
Jar Jar has been exiled. Please, Mister. And then
I think it works because, like, the Naboo are, like, exemplified by the Queen, where, like, the Queen has to be, like, super monotone and calm and reserved, but then the Gungan are like, what? This crazy tribal kind of thing. I think that's also why, like, they wanted to, like, have two halves of the planet, basically, like, one like a calm tribal Naboo, and then the other half like a wild. Like, I think that's what they were trying to do, and then like go through the center to like unite them. I mean, this is probably what they had in their minds when they were writing it, maybe, but it came out terribly. Because
it is one of the only, if not the only, planet I can think of that has two completely distinct personalities.
Mm-hmm.
In the Star Wars, because almost every planet in Star Wars is just like one,
like a monoculture and monobio.
Swamp planet, ice planet,
that is very true.
Planet, forest planet. And it's like they're all like, even when there is civilization in Tatooine, it all looks the same. Even though how many times have we been to goddamn Tatooine? How many times?
Like 4 times.
I was so I rolled my eyes so much when we went to Tatooine during The Mandalorian, but that's for another thing.
That's just the way Star Wars is.
We really, really need to go to Tatooine as often as possible.
That's very true. This is the only planet with a binary culture and binary biomes, which, again, I think they did on purpose, because I mean, they wanted to get the start at the very beginning of the saga, where they introduced like the Chosen One prophecy, which before this, like, I think it was mentioned in some of the extended universe books before, but the movies that never touched on the Chosen One prophecy. Mm-hmm. So I think this whole first movie was kind of a failed attempt at setting down like the Republic, the problem with the Republic, and the Chosen One prophecy. And I think they tried to like symbolize that with this dual planet being unbalanced. I think that's what they were trying to do. Like, they were trying to be like, oh, look, this cold, calculated, like pretty much the Jedi,
capital
right? Just like
city.
Cold, like unemotional, like the Jedi, and then you have like the passionate dark side, which I don't think there's a dark side. I think there's just a patient side and a passionate side, like, of the Force. I don't think there's no good or bad, really. It's just like a balance of the two. I think that's what they were going for with like the passionate and the calm Naboo. They were trying to, and at the end, like, they unify finally. And they're like, "Yay, we did it!"
And then so Qui-Gon's like, "You owe Jar Jar owes me, or he owes me a life debt."
Yeah.
And so that's why
everyone in the audience was like, especially Obi-Wan, was like, "No."
Yeah.
Because they could have
he doesn't know.
They could have just dropped Jar Jar right here, and then the movie would have been fine, really.
And then they make it through the planet's core, a bunch of fish eating each other.
Yeah.
That part I liked.
I like that part too. I can see why someone would hate it because it's just visual feasting. It's like Avatar. It's just like
It's just
Like,
like,
it
here's
doesn't,
a bunch of cool effects.
like, one, it's unnecessary because we know that the only reason they're going through is because they, for some reason, landed at the other side of the planet, but whatever. Um, and I kind of like the "there's always a bigger fish" thing, because it's like, I don't know, that perfectly like exemplifies like the Palpatine.
I remember that got a few laughs when I first saw the movie in the theater. You know, it was like, there's always a bigger fish. I think everyone was like, huh.
Yeah,
like, it's fine. And then so they make it to the other side through the planet's core.
I got some more things to say about the fish, man.
Oh, I didn't know you were. Okay, go ahead.
I'm big into fish.
This is gonna be a long podcast.
This is gonna be a good one. There's always a bigger fish. I mean, at the very end of the movie, spoiler, they defeat Maul, and then they're like, I'm just gonna jump to the end, and they're like, oh, we don't know if that was the master or the apprentice. And they're like, well, I don't know. I think this was like a wink and a nod to like, there's always a bigger fish. There's always someone behind the scenes, which I think they're trying to wink and nod to Palpatine in general. They're like, hey, there's someone behind the scenes. And I like the fact that Qui-Gon really doesn't do anything to get out of any of those situations. Like, he just keeps driving, and there's a fish attacking him, and another fish comes. Like, he doesn't do anything.
He felt it in the Force that there was a bigger fish.
He trusted the Force, which.
No, I legitimately think a fish that size he could probably feel that was like on its way to eat the other fish, like, or like, not that it was that he knew that's what was going to happen, but he could feel like.
I'm sure he could feel the presence, but like, I mean,
coming their way.
The whole thing about Qui-Gon, which he talks about a lot later, and even later than that, he talks about like trusting the will of the Force, which we're gonna. If I could jump to Return of the Jedi, that's what Luke does to save his father and also to defeat the Emperor, because he could, if he would have kept being active, if he would have kept attacking Darth Vader, and if he would have killed Darth Vader, then Palpatine would have won. But what did he do? He stopped. He let the will of the Force happen. He's just like, I'm just going to let whatever happens happen. And then what happens?
A little bit of electricity, no big problem.
But when he gets shocked, that makes his father finally turn and then kill Palpatine. So I think that's a nice little like bookend to like, I don't know, because like it's like Qui-Gon knew how the Force really works. He's like, you gotta just let it go, man. You know? Yeah. Because like it's kind of hippy dippy, but like it works because it's like the will of the Force, you know. Just Well, it obviously exists in the lore, like.
Well, I mean, Jedi meditate, you know what I'm saying? So they're pretty hippie. Goddamn hippies. Then we get through the planet's core, we come out at the other side, and we're at Naboo capital.
Yes, whatever it's called.
And they're like, we need to find what is I always forget why they go to Tatooine in the first place.
Well, it's because they run out of hyperspeed fuel.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. That's why, because it's a really boring reason.
It's not as boring as Last Jedi. We just straight up ran out of fuel. At least this one, it's like a very specified type of fuel.
What are you referencing?
The Last Jedi, which was all about them running out of gas, basically. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, you don't want me to go on tangents, but you're sparking me.
You brought up the gas. I did. But yeah, they go to Naboo. They're going to rescue the queen or whatnot. I just love that, like, the Nemodians are annoying, but I just love
so it's, I mean, I never knew this as a kid just because I was like, I don't know, but like now that I watch that movie, I'm just like, God damn, that's like the most racist species.
Is it?
They're so obviously like Asian caricatures.
Yeah, but Asians aren't like, there's no stereotype of Asians for being bureaucrats. So
no.
See it as racist.
The way they're talking, just the way they talk.
So they have an accent. Big whoop. Who cares? Oh my gosh, they have an accent? That's racist.
Yeah, but it's like a caricature accent. It's not like it just, I don't know. It's
yeah,
bad.
Right. I don't think it's as bad as you think it is. But I love that they will only invade legally. Like, I love that. They're just like these big bad invaders, and it's like, can you make this legal, please? It's just so stupid. Like,
we're trying to get into the thing.
Yeah, that's racist, man.
Pretty racist.
I love that they use battle droids. I don't know. That's just like the perfect the perfect like invading force of a bureaucracy is just like something they could control and like something that can be bought and is easy to make. It's like,
then again, another thing in theory that could have been a lot cooler than it was. Like, and we're talking about this guy George Lucas, who helped design the coolest, robot droids and ships and vehicles, and even like the droids even do look kind of okay, but like,
I like the battle droids.
They're so lame compared to what they could have been. They could have been.
I think that was the point, because they're the military arm of a bureaucracy. Of course they're gonna be lame, man.
But they're like way lamer than they should have been. They could have been at least like something that like a like Padawan could have just like literally like throw like 5,000 of them with one fucking throw. Like it's like they're like, why did they build them that way? Why are they built like these tiny?
Because they're cheap.
Things?
They're cheap. Don't you understand?
Yeah,
but you understand these bureaucrats don't want to spend a lot of. It's like ants. Like, they just want to build a lot of cheap little ants.
They don't seem cheap. They seem like they were like pretty.
What do you mean? They're like their arms and legs are super skinny. They fold up into a little ball. Like, they're compact. Like, they're made to be like these disposable little things. You know what I mean? Like the droidicas are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I don't get. It's like the battle droids. For one, why do they even speak? I mean, if they're all one hive mind, which they should be, they shouldn't even speak.
I don't think they are hive mind.
They should be all just connected on one network, and they should just be like.
Yeah,
I get like thematically they need to be like speaking in order for it to be like an entertaining.
Yeah, that would be boring if like people were just like, I guess I know what they're doing.
Yeah, they just like all their eyes turn blue and they're like, mm-hmm.
Hey, it's better than the sequels where people. It's better than the sequels where people can just talk to droids for some reason now, but we'll get into that later. People can just talk. People can just talk to R2 and BB-8. That's fine.
Are you trying to get me to go on a tangent? Because I will.
Why do you think Padme even... Okay, Naboo has this perfect, peaceful little society, right? Why do you think Padme even has a body double?
I mean, she's a queen.
Yeah, but it's an incredibly peaceful place.
So, I mean, it's on the surface, but I mean, it still, I mean, it's an incredibly rich, society that, as like a valuable queen. She's a valuable asset, clearly. So I think that actually makes one of the few things in that movie that makes sense.
That always bothered me. I'm like, why does this peaceful planet, why does she like have a body double? It didn't make any sense. My headcanon is, okay, we know she's Leia's mom. Spoiler. And she's obviously like, Leia obviously got that rebel streak from her mom. So
Rebel Streak.
I can just see, that's a cool name of something, Rebel Streak. I could just see Padme sneaking off to do other normal people things, and just having a secret decoy just to be queen while she goes in.
So she's a smarter version of Jasmine from Aladdin.
Yeah, if Jasmine was smart enough to just have a decoy, yes. I feel like it fits the character, because she obviously has a problem with like because whenever she's like not, whenever she's in handmaid form, like she talks normally. She talks to Anakin like she's an actual person. But then when she's a queen, you can tell she's just like, I'm a queen now. I have to talk like this. So I like to think that it just happens that, oh, I actually need this decoy now.
She doesn't want to be. She doesn't even want to like deal with it.
Yeah. I want to like. I think they have a really fascinating culture of like, okay, let's just have this randomly elected 13-year-old girl be our queen for a little bit.
Sure.
Why not?
Okay, so then moving on, we
yes, they're like, all right, we got to go to Coruscant. And this is really dumb because they're just as dumb and bureaucratic as the Neimoidians, because the Neimoidians are like, okay, we can only invade if it's legal. And then what do the Jedi and the Queen do? They're like, instead of fighting back, they go, we got to go to Coruscant so we can make the fight against the Neimoidians legal.
Yeah.
It's just like, how terrible is this republic where like the republic is so rotting with bureaucracy that they can't even defend their own planet without having to go into the Senate and be like, hey, can we protect our planet, please?
I'd like to think that it's just bad writing, but
it's not.
No.
I don't think. Oh, I mean, it was badly executed, but I mean, that's the whole point of the prequel trilogy, was to show the fall of the Republic, right? And how Palpatine took over. And this is how he took over, because Palpatine, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but he never really lies. He just kind of goes, oh, the Republic sure is bad, right? We really need someone who could step in and actually do things. Wink, wink. Me, wink, wink.
Something. Dark side.
But yes, then R2 saves the day, like he always does. R2's the man. Are you gonna talk shit about R2?
No, I that's like where the problems really start forming for me, even because Jar Jar at least is a new character, and this is the whole forcing all these old characters down your throat for some reason. They're all here.
But you're fine with the sequels, which they do it exponentially worse.
No, because because they're all established. This is like R2's here because but why is he this like? Because the droids' memories are all wiped. The people aren't memory wiped.
R2's isn't. R2's is not. C-3PO's is. At the end of the third one, 3PO's mind gets wiped. R2's doesn't. Which is why R2 is a badass.
Yeah, but so why doesn't R2 just I don't know. Why doesn't Obi-Wan go, "Hey, R2, remember me?"
Because in the old Star Wars, he's just an R2 unit. All R2 units look the same because they're droids. So of course he's going to be like, see an R2 unit and be like, I don't remember owning one of those, because that's like if I saw like an '89 Blazer and be like, I don't ever remember owning one. But like my friend had one in high school,
and people were like, "Oh, because he technically didn't own him."
No.
Like,
No, I think it's more because it's a droid. I mean,
it's a plot hole.
No, droids look the same, man. What do you want?
Oh, right. All droids look the same. That's why they don't have rights. Because
exactly why droids don't have rights. That's a whole nother conversation. I love droid rights.
We'll get into that on episode 4 talk.
Yeah, that's when it's most explicit, right?
You don't allow your kind in here.
So yes, R2 saves the day, which you hate because you hate R2. That's
fine.
I love her. That's fine if you hate him. You're introduced to Maul, all quiet and stuff. I'm Maul.
He's on Coruscant.
Well, like it shows.
It's like the only time he actually says a line, right, in the whole movie.
I think he says like 2 lines.
He doesn't say anything at the end.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything when he's first introduced. He says he only really talks to Sidious, and he says like 2.
He says like "as you wish."
Yeah, then he's like
all he really says.
"We will soon have our revenge." That's pretty much it. Revenge of the Sith.
And it's it's fine. And then we see Darth Maul, which is awesome. He's a really that's the weirdest thing too. It's like Lucas is on full display, clearly with some of the designs. Like Darth Maul is such a cool.
Yeah, but that's
character.
That's freaking ILM, man. They're kings. They were kings.
And then you have some character design like Darth Maul and stuff, and then you have character design or even like Darth Maul and even Sebulba, right? Like such a cool character design in my opinion. And
Sebulba, Sebulba is interesting.
And then you have character design like with the droids and the Naboo fighters and stuff, and some of the stuff it feels a lot more uneven. It's the first time that Star Wars really felt truly uneven and weird, and it's like, what is going on here? How many people what really happened? Like some of the
what happened. This is my theory, which I've read a couple of interviews, and it kind of substantiates it. People were afraid to tell George Lucas no.
Yeah,
during the making of this movie. Just the first one. That's why these prequels get consistently better. Two is a little better. 3 is really good.
Even starting 2 right after watching 1, it's so evident. I know a lot of people hate 2 more than 1. They're wrong, but
I like them. I like them both pretty much the same.
But 2, at least, when you first start that movie, just the immediate level of quality with the CGI and some of the special effects is so much higher. And I know it's because clearly that special effects renaissance happened around that early 2000s with Lord of the Rings and all that. But anyways,
they definitely people were afraid to tell him no about things like Jar Jar. He's like, no, people are gonna love Jar Jar. Everyone's like, yeah, George, yeah. If I say no, will I get fired?
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, there's no precedent for that, because what made the original trilogy so good is that he was always willing to cooperate with people. Like Empire and Return. Some would say those are better than New Hope. I like New Hope a little more, but those are better movies because he was willing to concede and be like, oh, you have an idea? Oh, that's a better idea. Let's do that. Exactly. And I think when the prequels came around, it's people were just because I don't think it came from him, because he obviously was still fine with taking criticism because the movies got better. When other directors came in and other writers came in, the movies got better.
Yeah.
So it's just imagine what we would have gotten with Phantom Menace if people would have just said no, George.
Yeah, I know, and that's what's truly sad is there's how many cool ideas there were.
Yeah, and all these deep notes I'm taking. Those are just me gleaming out the little kernels of potential. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like this movie has a lot of potential, showing the bureaucratic rot and all this really cool theme stuff, but it's never used. It's just service level.
Yeah.
It's a real shame.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of how I've always viewed the political stuff in these movies. It just feels a little forced.
Yeah, but I like political stuff, and I like conceptually.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it in the that's far from anything that I actually don't like about them. It's just one of the few things that just starts the little waterfall of stuff that I don't like about these movies. But that being said,
I'm willing to be positive.
We have to go to Tatooine because we need fuel to get to Coruscant.
Yes, we run out of hyperspace fuel. And they're like, the closest planet is Tatooine in the Outer Rim. I guess Naboo is pretty close to the Outer Rim.
And then they go there, and they realize that, and they got Padme with them.
Yeah, they bring.
Who's absolutely not the queen.
Okay, just the way that Qui-Gon looks at her, and the way that Qui-Gon constantly prods her, he knows that she's actually the queen. He's just I don't know, just some of the stuff he says, he's just oh, well, I don't think the queen would mind. She's I think she will. And he's just like,
let me call her.
Too bad she's not here.
I'm calling the queen right now. Her phone starts ringing. Oh shit! They know.
Space phone.
Phone.
But I don't know. I love that scene. I like to think that he's just like, he's just effing with her. He's just like, I know you're the queen, man. Come on.
So we get there and we meet meet Annie.
Watto.
We meet Watto.
I like Watto. I'm not gonna lie.
I like his. He talks like this. He talks like a big old flying Italian tick.
Hey, I'm Watto. Watto is he's like someone that I think a lot of people didn't like at first, but he's something that hasn't. There's a few things for me that actually aged okay, and Watto is one that I'm still okay with.
I like
Annie.
Annie. Like
Annie, my boy.
It's so funny because like he's a slave owner. He owns 2 slaves, but he's really not that bad of a guy for a slave owner.
Kind of, yeah. He is a piece of shit, but like when you put him next to some of the other people
like Jabba the Hutt, which I mean, like at this point, the Hutt Empire, like the Hutt crime empire, is still pretty rampant.
Which I actually didn't know that. I don't think I ever knew this until rewatching these movies recently, that like most of the like scummy dudes on Tatooine all speak Huttese. And it's like, because like when Watto is speaking in that other language, I never knew that was like Huttese is what he's speaking. Am I saying that right? Huttese?
Yeah, I think it's Huttese.
Yeah. Because isn't it like literally like Huttese, Jawanese, and Ewokese? Isn't that how they say it?
I don't know.
I think it's all. It
sounds like something dumb they would do in Star Wars.
Yes, it's all like. It's like what is like Portuguese, but like let's just put the race and then the thing. So we meet Annie.
Yeah, you meet Anakin.
And he's just.
Let's talk about Anakin. Anakin. I know. He is like.
I'm only gonna do that like 2 more
like
times.
What we said earlier, like Jar Jar, he could have been like toned down, and he's still like, okay, he did what he was supposed to do.
Are you an angel?
But Anakin, I get what they're going for. They're going for like to show Anakin's innocence, so they can contrast it later to his loss of innocence. I get it.
But I mean, here's the thing. How many auditions do you think that they had for this kid?
I feel so bad because like it's no offense to Jake Lloyd, but he was not meant for this role at all.
No, I mean, not at all. It's almost like they just literally went purely on his looks, because
George was like, "Oh, he's perfect. He's perfect. He's got the bowl cut and everything."
Yeah, he's got that like, the 90s bowl cut. 90s bowl cut, and then 90s like chipmunk little boy face and everything. But it's like, I mean, I feel like I've seen better acting from kids in like
and it's not really just the acting. It's like a dissonance between his not good acting
and his lines are really bad.
Exactly. Like it's the not good acting. It's the bad direction, because I mean we'll talk about this multiple times during all these reviews, but George Lucas is not a good people director. He can direct action scenes like a boss, but you make him direct 2 people on how to like act like human beings, and they're not going to act like human beings. They're going to act like little stick figures going me. It's terrible.
And luckily you have like great thespians like Ewan McGregor and
but even them, even like these great actors, like they're wasted because the direction, man.
Yeah, even there are even scenes, and notoriously I know Liam Neeson did not like really working on this movie. I don't blame him. And it
I love
most of this movie, a lot of this movie was filmed in front of green screen, especially Phantom Menace. Like I don't think it's as bad later on in the trilogy, but like
I don't. While that might have been true for like the long shots, there is an exceptional amount of like practical model effects in this movie. I think it really just gets overshadowed because everyone focuses on the bad CGI, but like they really only use CGI when they need to, because like they'll have like we'll jump up a little bit to the
Have we
the
seen the council? Have they shown the council yet?
No,
not yet. Okay,
not yet.
I won't mention it until we get to the
yeah, that's pretty bad. But like when like the Bunta Eve race, when the pod race, all those giant stadium,
the
that's
turbine,
real.
they're like turbines and stuff when they show
the stadium with all those people. Those aren't fake people. Like he built that set, which is amazing.
It is real, mostly real people, but there's peppered in CG.
Yeah,
too.
because I mean that's just impractical. But like he could have just done all that CGI. All I'm saying is like, I feel like it gets a little too much rough for the CGI, because I think the practical stuff in here looks really cool.
But it's one of those things that you don't. When someone does so many bad things, if they do a good thing, you don't really notice as much, because you're like,
well, if you're a pessimist, sure.
I think you are a classic pessimist.
Yeah, that's why I'm praising the hell out of this movie.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be an optimist to like a bad movie, you know. I have plenty of...
There's no good and bad movies. There's only entertaining movies and not entertaining movies.
There's plenty of go ahead.
So here's my if I could change one thing about Phantom Menace. Actually, do you have like, okay, I'm just gonna tell you, make Anakin a preteen.
Oh, like not as like weirdly young.
Yeah, because his lines, if you just look at his lines, just read them, they sound like they're being spoken by an older child.
I personally think that the kid, I remember when I watched it, you said you just watched Road to Perdition, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
The kid from Road to Perdition would have been the perfect Anakin Skywalker if he just had his hair, blonde. I think he was a great actor for a kid his age, and he's a little older than the Anakin they had. I think he would have been perfect, because in that movie he's like dark. It's like a dark movie. He's like very like, moody. Like,
yeah, but I kind of like the concept of like Anakin when he was younger being this really vibrant, happy kid, because the reason he turns over to the dark side isn't because he's evil. He turns over to the dark side because he cares too much.
I don't think he needs to be. I think he did need to be a happy kid.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, that would have been like, why did these Jedis, like, why would they even train
him? He's obviously an evil. He's a
this kid's
evil
like
kid.
In his room, like fucking cutting fucking Jawas, like torturing Jawas and shit, and like, yeah.
But yes, just like his lines, I feel like they wrote the script for an older kid and then they cast a 9-year-old, and I feel like if they would just cast a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old. They would have alleviated.
I would buy it too. I would buy his attraction to Padme a lot more too if he was a little older. Not saying that if you're 9, you can't think of chick's hotter.
But the thing about Phantom Menace, I feel like they didn't.
It also would feel less weird when they finally get together in the second movie.
Yeah.
Because if he was like a preteen, it's kind of like there could be a little bit of that like his
I like the fact that like in Phantom Menace. There is no romance between them. There's just a badly developed friendship. I mean, it's not very developed.
He wants to bang her. He calls her an angel. He looks at her titties.
Have you seen that woman? She is an angel.
Are you an angel? God,
so terrible. So terrible.
That is one of the worst.
That's not what they were focusing on in the movie. The movie wasn't about him falling in love with Padme.
No,
but the whole point was like
something real quick.
No.
The fact that he's like, "Are you an angel?" and then like instead of them just like letting that line just be a bad line, they had to like explain that angels are actually like an alien being from this other fucking planet. I'm like, oh my god.
See, they do that later. They kind of treat Anakin like an exposition machine, because later he goes up to Qui-Gon and he's like, "You were talking about midichlorians. What are midichlorians?"
Well, let me tell you.
Like, come on, man. Like, George, stop. Get a script doctor. Just fix your stuff, man. Like it's just so bad.
Like you said, I've never thought about it that way. Like I never realized that he's just really bad at directing human beings.
Yeah.
Like he could direct aliens and ship battles and action scenes.
His action scenes, like you can't like they're just great. I mean, they're basically like World War II dogfights in space, which is like the coolest concept ever. And he's just good at it.
I think he learned. I think he got lucky. He lucked out with the chemistry that the original cast had.
Because it was an accident, a beautiful, beautiful accident.
I mean, because Harrison Ford wasn't really an actor, and Mark Hamill was pretty young, and I mean Harrison Ford had been in George Lucas's previous movie, and so, and on that movie he was literally a carpenter, and he just got hired. They were like, he's like, hey, can you drive a truck and act like a badass? And he was like, yeah, I guess. Yeah. And then he was in American Graffiti, and then bada bing, bada boom, he's like, hey, you would be pretty good at this smuggler guy. And it was just because Hamill, Fisher, and Anthony Daniels, especially Kenny Baker. Kenny Baker's has amazing chemistry with everyone.
Oh yeah, the way he's like.
But mainly it's mainly Fisher, Ford, and Hamill. Their chemistry is just like, you can tell they're like good friends, like in real life. You can tell that they just all like had a good time making that movie, and it was just like, I think he kind of lucked out on that, and because like they're talking about how much of some of the that script is actually kind of weird, and it like some of the lines in it are really strange, but it's just because Harrison Ford, Hamill has that like that youthfulness. Harrison Ford has that like that. Shut up. I'm not. This is. But I'm saying why that cast worked.
Yeah, because they had chemistry, which no one in this movie has any sort of chemistry together.
And that's the problem. This movie became this big thing, whereas the other one started as like a small project, and they didn't really know where they were going with it. Whereas this is like such a different beast. Yeah. So,
and just think about all the expectations. I don't envy George's position when making this movie, like.
But he didn't have to, and for the longest time,
he didn't have to. Like, but I still don't envy his position.
It was rumored for years and years and years that they were going to make 1, 2, and 3, and we were like, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? And then it's like, no. And he was going to do it, and then he didn't. And then it was like,
and I think they were going to make a TV show at one point in the 90s, but that canceled. Yeah, that would have been so bad if they made a TV show in the 90s. My God.
So back on track. Oh yeah, that would have been great.
Qui-Gon comes out.
Qui-Gon comes walking in. Well, I'm out.
Padme finds out that Anakin is a slave.
Anakin's a slave.
They meet his mom. Padme's just like, oh, I didn't know you were a slave. Again, like, I think her reaction was going for like, the Republic is so used to their own little inclusive little, like Coruscant's just like this perfect little ball of everything.
I didn't know there were yeah.
You know what I mean? And everything outside, it's like, oh, there's no political gain to be had for going to the Outer Rim and freeing slaves. So they don't even think about, even if they're not like meaning to, like, they're not pro-slave, but they just don't think about it. Like, she's like, oh yeah, slaves exist.
Yeah, and then they meet the mom, Shmi, which has got to be the worst name in the
pretty
history.
Bad. I do like her though. I like her. I like the actress.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh God, she's one of the worst parts of these. Oh my God.
Really, I like her. I mean, she's not like great, but they could have gotten a worse.
The only thing that makes sense is I was like, oh, that's why that kid's a bad actor, because his mom's a bad actor. That's what makes sense.
Sick. And then we meet that amazing line where Watto is like, okay, go, and then you can go play with your friends. And Anakin's like, yippee, and then runs off. And it's like the worst yippee. Like, I want that like as a notification ringtone. Yippee! Darth Vader goes yippee. Oh, baby.
That just you saying that without like it's like PTSD for me. It's like it gives me it's the word version of hemorrhoids.
Oh my gosh.
And then we meet C-3PO, right?
Yeah, meet C-3PO.
It's just this is where as a kid I was just like, really? Like even as a kid I remember being like, are they really gonna do this? He built 3PO. Come
okay, like
on.
First off, like Star Wars is all about unbelievable coincidences. You can't say it's not. You cannot say it's not.
Anakin building 3PO is the worst one.
No, it is not. Because look at the very beginning,
So
the very beginning of New Hope. He just happens to be chasing his daughter above the planet where his son lives, and he doesn't know neither of them are alive. Are you telling me that that's like not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard in your life? And then you're complaining about
son happens to be on a planet. So
what? You know how many planets are in a galaxy?
Yeah. You know how many droids aren't built by Anakin? All of them, except for C-3PO.
I'm just saying, like, if you're okay with, you have to be okay with all of them, man.
I'm not.
That's a dumb hill to die on.
Many dumber people have died on dumber hills.
Yes, sir. That's true.
But you can't tell me that you like the 3PO.
Yes, I do.
You like that he made 3PO.
I like that he made 3PO because I think it's funny that a little boy that was
it's also not believable that little boy knows how to build a fucking robot. Like it's so ridiculous. Like that kid doesn't even. It's so unbelievable that kid can do anything he does in this entire
It's unbelievable, this world where there's this magical force that moves through people and controls people.
But,
yeah, sure, that's ridiculous. But a little boy that's created through the force, who knows how to create, who knows how to build droids, that's just... Come on, man. Plus, I'd like to think the fact that...
But believability has to be earned, and that's like not an earned believability. Like, you meet that kid and he's like, he's a fucking dope and he's a ditz and he's just like, yippee!
It's not like he's a normal person.
Here's the robot that I built.
He is not. You can't put him on the same category because, okay, he was created by the Force or created. Someone created him using the Force, however you want to.
Like this is like again the whole thing with Anakin and Shmi and 3PO and him being created by the Force. That's like the worst part of this whole movie. Jar Jar is like
see, I like the fact that he was created by the Force because it's like something that was created is good at creating.
The virgin birth. I wonder where they got that from. It's almost like they may have read a book or something about it.
Like a created being is good at creating.
They ripped off God in some
Well, you're wrong. You're wrong.
They ripped off the word of God. Wait, I got an idea. Let's do what they did in the Bible.
Such a hater.
Virgin birth.
Hater.
Oh, God damn.
Yes, those are the last things. Those are the worst things about these movies. Oh, just wait till I get to the sequels.
Okay. At least the sequels, they act. There's good acting.
It doesn't matter if the story is freaking lame.
The story, because Star Wars has always been about a story. Oh wait, no, it's not, because 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, I take that back. At least these have memorable characters. They may not have chemistry, they might not have good writing, but you remember Qui-Gon, you remember Mace Windu, you remember all these people.
Qui-Gon, he's not really anything though. Like he doesn't do.
You shut your mouth.
What does he do?
Shut your mouth. He's a badass.
He dies. He has one battle, and he loses. And it's a 2-on-1.
No, actually, he was just fighting. He was just fighting Maul when he died.
Well, yeah, that's right. Obi-Wan's like, I'm stuck behind a laser wall, this convenient plot wall that's keeping me from getting in there. It's only going to open on a timer.
Yeah, because it's a movie.
Oh, so good. I love it. Yeah, so then we also learned about the other horrible, stupid thing, which is the Metachlorians.
Oh God, I can't.
Oh, now do you hate the movie?
No, I hate midichlorians.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Extremely unnecessary.
Why? That's another thing.
Know.
I don't know why
I don't know.
No one wanted that. No one asked for that. Everyone was fine.
You can tell it was a George decision because it was immediately dropped and never brought up again in any of the other movies.
It was one of those things that was like everyone was fine with the fact that some people may have the Force. Maybe everyone has the Force a little bit. Some people have more of the Force than others.
It was supposed to be mysterious, right?
And it was this mysterious thing, and now you turn it into a blood disorder.
Yeah. Like, well, it doesn't make any sense because it's like, what happens if someone gets a blood transfer? Or what happens if someone like gets an arm cut off? Does that mean that they're lower in the Force because they have less blood? Like,
if someone's like, "Yo, bro, I want to be a Jedi. Give me some of your blood, dude."
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense. Like all you have to do is just think about it a little bit, and then it just falls apart.
I want to be a Jedi too, bro. Hook me up.
Now, like it tried to turn Force ability into like Dragon Ball Z power levels. You know what I mean? They're like,
yeah.
This boy has a power level of 20,000. Like,
his levels are insane. What are we gonna do?
So 900. No, this is how 1, I can see why they wanted to do it. Like to like
he's over 1,000 metachlorians.
Because they wanted to like I don't know, I can see maybe where they're coming from. If they would have done it well, they should have. The midichlorians shouldn't have been this microscopic organism that connects you to the Force. It should have just been a microscopic organism that you can analyze to see how much Force usage you have in you, not actually be the source of the Force usage.
Do animals have midichlorians? Because they say the Force runs through all living beings. It runs through everything, and plants too. So do trees? Can you measure a tree's midichlorian count?
Now, if it was just if it was like this thing in the bloodstream that could be used to measure, sure, all right, but that's not what they do. They go, this is where the Force comes from, and it's so bad.
All they had to do was just because I see why they did it, because they wanted to have a thing where they literally measure him and they go, holy shit, this kid's got a lot of the Force. Yeah. But what they could have done is, because they're both very like wise, and Qui-Gon's a Jedi master.
Oh, now you like Qui-Gon. Okay.
Oh, I like Qui-Gon.
No, that's fine. You hate him. That's cool.
I don't think that he does anything. I was just saying he doesn't.
Really he just brings the chosen one to the Jedi Order and sets into motion the things that will save the galaxy. But whatever, he doesn't do anything.
But you mean like
when
Darth Vader turns evil and kills everybody? So because of Qui-Gon,
and then he ends up destroying the Palpatine.
Oh right. Oh, so we destroyed the Emperor, but because of Qui-Gon, we lost.
Yes, man. They all deserve to die.
Alderaan?
Yeah, all the Alderaan. Alderaan. Yeah,
you're
all of it.
Shit. So, anyways, we got to move on, or else
they're at the dinner table, and Anakin sees Qui-Gon's lightsaber, and
no one
never really caught this before, but he calls it a laser sword, which I never caught before. He's like, "Is that a laser sword?" I don't know.
Which is also what Luke calls it. But it's because the reason, and I think they clearly did it in episode 1 as well, is because in the 70s and 80s, there were these knockoff lightsabers that they made, and they were called lasers. The brand was laser sword.
I mean, a lightsaber is just a laser sword.
Anyway. It is, but there was this really famous knockoff apparently in the late 70s, early 80s that was called laser sword, and it was like actually really popular because there were cheap versions, because they sold lightsabers as well that you could buy, but they were really expensive, and then they sold laser swords. And so the whole, it's supposedly an inside joke of like this old cheap brand of lightsaber.
Well, I feel as dumb as it is, it does work with a 9-year-old saying it. So, like, I could see a 9-year-old be like,
I think it works both ways. Because, yeah, I'm fine with that line both ways.
Yeah,
actually,
I think it's kind of funny.
And that's one of like the few. I think that's like maybe the only line Anakin says that's fine.
I agree. Well, actually, I like this next line. Not his delivery, and it would make a lot better if it was spoken by a preteen, because this does not sound like a line spoken by a 9-year-old boy. Where they talk about why Qui-Gon's there, and Qui-Gon's like, "I'm not here to free slaves," and Anakin's like, "I think you have. That's why else would you be here?" I like that line.
I'm okay with it
because it's just like, again, like it kind of reinforces Qui-Gon's like faith in the living Force, because he's all about just trusting the will of the Force, fine, fate, all that good stuff. And then he meets this little boy. He's like, "You've come here for a reason." He's like, "I have, haven't I?" Plus, it's a cool line. I think it'd be better if it was said by an older kid who's a good actor. But
yes, yep. Like you said, if I could change one fucking thing about this entire movie, it wouldn't be Jar Jar. I'll tell you that. I'd keep
irritating,
Jar Jar,
but
because
right, I can get over it.
Jar Jar is irritating, but he has grown into this thing where it's almost like when you hear Creed now and you go, "This isn't like that bad. Like, it's bad still, but it's not like it's like people really like rip this apart."
Yeah.
And it's like these songs are like the worst thing.
So you're telling me is that that's going to be Nickelback in about 15 years?
Could be. We just, you can't know. You can't know.
I find the Nickelback hatred amusing. It's just like they're acceptably mediocre. I don't know why everyone hates them so much.
Yeah, it's
like whatever. It's like vanilla. It's like vanilla rock. It's like, all right. I mean,
it's almost like once something reaches that really like heavy pinnacle of hatred, then it almost becomes like you don't even want to hate it anymore, because it just already has so much hate behind it. You're like, I'm tired. I don't even want to put my energy there. Like, why? If so much energy is already there. Like,
and why hate something that's just plain mediocre?
I can't wait to see. I can't wait for people who hate The Last Jedi as much as they do for some reason. I mean, I get some of the reasons, but
I definitely have my problems with that movie. None of it is directorial or
but most I'm talking about the people with like the vitriol, like the hardcore, just like insanity, like it's the worst thing that's ever happened. I can't wait for those people in 10 years for people to be like, it's not really that bad. It's actually it's pretty good. Like, I can't wait for that it's gonna come around. That's gonna happen.
Well, that happens all the time.
And on anything that receives so much unified hate, it's like, it was really not that bad. But Jar Jar is the Creed of Star Wars.
The Creed of Star Wars. So Qui-Gon makes the deal with Watto
for the pod race.
And this just shows. If Annie wins, he gets the car part. He gets the
no, you're fine.
He gets the car part, and then he makes a second bet on top of that for freeing Anakin, and it's such a Qui-Gon thing. That's why you can see he's such an outlier of the council, because I mean he just straight up manipulates that chance cube.
Oh yeah,
which is really funny, because he's all about having
trust
faith
in the
Force,
except for when it's not.
But he's using the Force. It's just a funny, and it's like because Qui-Gon is like the quintessential like gray Jedi to me, because he's just like, he's good, but he ain't that good. Like, he's willing to
Mace
the rules.
To me is the quintessential gray Jedi.
Maybe in a competitive sense, but
yeah,
because even when like Qui-Gon comes to Windu and he's like, we need to train this kid because he's obviously a chosen one, and we need to show him some direction and train him. And even when Mace was like, no, this kid scares me. Yeah, sounds like a real cool guy.
Yeah, he was right.
No, see, I don't agree, because I feel like if the Jedi Council would have embraced Anakin and not been afraid of him, there would be a good chance where he would not have turned against them.
They don't trust me. They
trust me, because if you look at by the third movie, he does not trust the Jedi Council, and for good reason, because
sure? Because his acting isn't really on the nose.
I like Hayden Christensen. You can shut your mouth.
No.
So the Boonta Eve race, I like the pod racing. It's awesome. The sound design is so great in that scene. Like,
yeah, sound design's great. It's very reminiscent. They take a lot of the speeder bike stuff and apply it here. Where they show the front, you know, a lot, and they show, you know, they do these different cool camera angles with the actual race, where, you know, you see like the side speed by, and then you see the back of the thing, and then you see the one that's like right off the camera that's like on the dash, right?
Again, Lucas is very good at directing action. He knows how to keep a kinetic movement. He knows how to keep things exciting. He knows how to have dramatic pacing in action. Like, he does this super well.
That
thing around it is not good.
Too much to say about the pod racing scene, other than it's a really cool visual thing.
Yeah. It goes on a little too long because it kind of it stops the plot in its tracks, and it's like, hey, watch this for 15 minutes.
Literally just this complete stop of the plot, and it's just this spectacle, and it does go on too long. You're like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
And then of course Anakin wins. Sebulba is somebody who we should mention as well. I like Sebulba.
Me too. He's one of the only aliens that actually looks alien. And
he looks cool.
Yeah, because most of the aliens in Star Wars are humanoid or slug.
Yeah, and then he's literally not either one. He's just got this. He walks on his fucking hands and shit, and he's all weird and
very cool.
He's got these weird little dread things, not dread braids.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He just looks cool, and I think he was underutilized. It's so weird that they make these really cool characters that are only in it for a second. If you really think about Darth Maul and Sebulba are my two favorite design characters in this movie, and if you think about their screen time versus
I feel
Jar Jar,
we'll talk about Maul later, but Maul is the second coming of Boba Fett. He's just they took this character with 2 lines that died unceremoniously.
I literally have Boba Fett and Darth Maul and Bosk next to each other.
They tried to do that with Captain Phasma. Failed terribly.
I like Captain Phasma.
What the hell does she do? She doesn't do anything.
Yeah, she fights Finn.
Oh, well, cool.
She's a boss fight.
She's a boss fight.
She's a boss fight. I mean, I think she had potential to do more, but
yeah, potential is great. I mean, that's all this movie is.
She was a very cool character design. I think
that's only
was cool.
Whatever. She didn't have any. I don't know.
Boba Fett doesn't really do much.
But his design is so much cooler.
And he goes out like
a bitch.
It sucks so bad how he dies. You're just like, what? Of course he doesn't die, but now that we know.
No, I'd like to think he just died.
No, it's not canon.
I don't care.
You're wrong.
No, I'm usually a canon purist, but when it comes to Star Wars, no. I don't care. It's just there's too much.
So can I believe that Episode 1 didn't happen?
Yeah, that's fine. You can believe it's not canon. Yeah.
Can I believe that it all just started with Episode 3?
Yeah, that's actually extremely acceptable.
Well, Episode 3 is the only one that really has the extended universe in mind. But anyways, we'll go into that when we talk about Episode 3.
Yes, the fact that I know you hate Anakin and the fact that he is a force-created being, but that's the only way.
It'd be different if he wasn't if they didn't do and I get it, but if they didn't do a virgin birth. If they did it some other way,
but if he was a force-created being, how else would they have done it? He just popped into existence one day.
They found him on an altar on a fucking weird distant fucking ice planet or something, and he was just like a fucking child, all crunched up next to a fucking artifact of the Force. Yes, you're right. That is a good idea.
An Artiforce.
I literally just took Xenoblade Chronicles and just made it into a thing.
But that's the only reason he can even go on pilot this race. Which I like, because if you actually pay attention to the route in the race, it's ridiculous. It's these tiny canyons that are just right turns everywhere. But he doesn't win the race just by his skills, though, because he would have pretty much, because Sebulba keeps like messing with him pretty much throughout the whole race.
And the only reason, the classic like
he's like the
race. It's
the
like
bully
this is
jock.
this is the race from Greece.
Yeah, he's the bully jock, basically.
I'm the bully guy who's gonna fuck with your car.
Yeah, really.
And I have like spikes on my tires and fucking. I'm gonna throw little like fucking like buster bombs.
Dude, you ever see people with those spikes on their wheels? It's like, what are you doing, man? You think this is freaking Mad Max? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, if they ever in some sort of race like that.
It's true. They might need a 5-foot gasoline.
They're gonna be the bad guy. They already
clearly
they're the bad guy.
They chose their side. But he doesn't win by skills. He wins like Sebulba keeps throwing these things at him, and he fixes them on the spot because he's good at engineering. I know you hate that about him. I get it, but this just goes to show you again. He's a very fast thinker, and he knows how. Now this is pod racing. He knows how to fix things. He knows how to engineer on the spot, which I like. So yes, then they win him and the part. They win him. They win his freedom.
They win his freedom, and then they go back to the ship.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, what? Mom can't come too? And she's like, oh, I can't come. And he's like, oh no, Mom, I love my mama. And she's like, well, you can go. You need to go. You're destined for greatest things. There's no foreshadowing in this line. Blah blah blah. And then they go back to the ship. And is that when Darth Maul rides up?
Yeah, that's when Darth Maul rides up. I like
that's so fucking cool, dude.
One thing I love.
God, why don't people use speeder bikes on Tatooine more often? That place is a giant fucking desert.
Because Tatooine is like extremely poor.
Okay, yeah, but how many people visit Tatooine that have big fucking spaceships?
No one visits.
No one
wants to come to Tatooine. No one wants to come to Tatooine. You know who comes to Tatooine?
Everyone goes to Tatooine.
No, you know who goes to Tatooine?
Everyone.
Shady smugglers who aren't there to have a good time on a speeder bike. Okay?
Everyone that's ever been in a Star Wars movie is a shady smuggler.
Yes, that's true. The only people who exist in the Star Wars universe are the characters in the Star Wars movies.
It's just so weird, but like no speeder bikes because there's a speeder bikes section. I know you said don't go into extended lore, but in Shadows of the Empire, remember there's a speeder bike section on Tatooine.
There's swoops actually.
Oh, I'm so fucking sorry.
Okay.
And
all right.
But like I've always thought about that. I'm like, why in the one movie that you see speeder bikes the most is it in a dense fucking forest and we don't see them?
Because it's dramatic flying through the.
They don't like. Why didn't they bring speeder bikes to Hoth? Why don't they bring speeder bikes to fucking Tatooine, where these giant open?
They didn't need speeder bikes on Hoth because they had giant tank cows. Duh.
Yeah. The tank cows are great.
They're so impractical.
Like, the next time they're gonna make Star Wars like 10, 11, and 12 or whatever, and it's gonna be like they're gonna bring speeder bikes to Dagobah. They're like, there's swamp things everywhere. There's like gonna be hitting with moss and stuff.
So whenever I love this part where Anakin is walking away from his mom, and he's wearing like a space backpack, and it just looks like. It looks just like a backpack. Like it doesn't look like I don't know. It doesn't look like some fancy space thing.
It doesn't look like something that was. It doesn't
look like designed. It just looks like a backpack. Like it has the little like hook thing on the top, and it's just like, George, that's just a backpack, man. You're not gonna get him like a space backpack.
They were filming that scene. They're like, oh fuck, we need a backpack, but everyone's here. We don't really have time to go get one. They're like, just like draw some shit on this black one.
They're like, just give him a Jansport. That's fine.
Jansport. And then Darth Maul swoops in and on a fucking speeder bike, which is so dope. I love.
He like zooms in and he like jumps off the speeder and just. You know, it's like yes, and you get a little taste of
the tiniest taste, and they fend him off, and or they run off, they get on the ship and they fly off, and then they finally head to
Coruscant. But you can't forget the awkward little scene between Anakin and Padme, which again wouldn't have been which wouldn't have been as bad if he wasn't a little 9-year-old boy, because it's supposed to be this like nice quiet moment where like Padme shows that she's not just a queen, and Anakin shows that he's not just this, happy-go-lucky kid. Okay, I get it. That's kind of cool. But no, it's just awkward. I care for you too.
Oh yeah, no, it's real bad. It's really bad. It's
very, very awkward.
bad.
So yes, they go to
Then we
Coruscant,
go.
which I love Coruscant because it's Coruscant. It's a giant city-wide planet, or
It's a city planet.
a city, a planet-wide city, a city planet.
Planet City.
A planet city. Come on down to Planet City.
Planet
We've got planets, and that's all.
And that's when they take him to the Jedi Council, right?
Yes. But I love it when they first arrive. They're met by the Supreme Chancellor Valorum and the Senator Palpatine, who is the senator of Naboo. He's from Naboo. It's kind of weird because you don't think about this, but he was born and raised on Naboo, and he was the senator of Naboo. Interesting thing, I just never really think about it. It's like, oh, he's from Naboo.
Yeah.
Huh. But like when they first meet, they meet the two Jedi, and then the Jedi bow to the politicians. I don't know. I just never noticed that. It's like the first thing they do is bow to politicians. It seems really weird for these Jedi masters.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that actually. I don't.
I like it because it shows how in control the politicians really are.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but it's not big enough of a thing for me to really get my panties in a twisty twist. But
I get why they did it.
We finally meet. We meet the council, right? We meet Yoda and Windu and all the other ones that don't ever fight anybody.
Well, before that,
we meet the two cool ones and then everybody else.
Before that, we have a little scene with Padme and Palpatine, which I love this scene a lot, mostly because Ian McDiarmid is a great actor, but it's pretty much just him monologuing. He's talking to Padme about like the nature of the Republic and stuff, and everything he says is like true. Like he's like, there's no civility, only politics. The Republic is not what it once was. The Senate is full of greedy, squabbling delegates. There is no interest in the common good. There's little chance the Senate will act on the invasion. The bureaucrats are in charge now. Like, because everything, like, through these whole movies, Palpatine never lies to get what he wants. He just takes advantage of the bureaucracy. Yeah, he just manipulates everyone with truth to get what he wants.
Or just certain versions of the truth.
I wouldn't even say that. This is just straight up truth. Like, the Republic is just.
But he usually swings it one way to appeal to certain sides and stuff. Like he's definitely got that like little bit of manipulation when he's talking to certain people.
Of course. The intent is manipulative, but he never outright lies. Which I like that about him because he's like the perfect villain because he never lies. He just takes advantage like a parasite. Nice. It's like, oof. But yes, then we meet the Jedi Council, the lazy Jedi Council,
and we have
thrones.
My problem/not problem, which is what the fuck? The last time I watched this movie, Yoda was a puppet.
A terrible looking puppet. Absolutely horrendous looking puppet.
Dude, I prefer a horrendous looking puppet to
no.
Mess
Have you looked up what that puppet looked like?
I mean, I saw him the like original version of episode 1 not that long ago. It was only like because this is like the Blu-ray version of it. Before, so the DVD versions of the movie had the puppet version of it.
No, they I think it was only the theatrical.
No,
look it up, dude.
Last time I watched it was a DVD, and then Yoda's a puppet in the DVD. He's not. They didn't change it till the Blu-ray. It's just like
dude, he looks horrendous.
Just like the Darth Vader scream at the end of Jedi, where he's like, "No!" that they add in there for some reason. That's Blu-ray. Like they added that on Blu-ray for some reason.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
fine
that
with
looks really good. As in, no, it does not look good. It looks
I
terrible.
totally preferred the puppet Yoda because I was like,
Ugh.
because last time I watched it, it was a DVD. It was a few years ago, and I was like, oh man, I totally forgot he was a puppet in the first one, and they
Ugly
changed
ass
it
puppet.
after that. No, okay, you can look at a picture, but the actual like end of it, I think it works so much better because he's sitting there with other like people, and the puppet just looks so much more in place, and it doesn't atone for like how bad Jar Jar stands out when he's standing next to people.
Or like how they look at Jar Jar, but it's never consistent where they look. Like sometimes they're looking above him and sometimes they're looking below.
Jar Jar.
Yeah, it's just like it's so inconsistent.
Yeah. Anyway, so Jedi Council, they ask if they can train him.
Well, that's later. First, Qui-Gon comes to them first about Maul, basically, because I mean Qui-Gon immediately is like, "Hey, the Sith are back." And then the Jedi are like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't believe the Sith would have returned without us knowing." Like, what arrogance? Like, because okay, they have the Master Sith living like basically next door to them for years, and they never sense him.
It's because so that actually I'm okay with because they.
No, I'm okay with it too.
Because I
Probably
think
for different reasons, but I'm okay with it.
I think it's Palpatine is using his Force ability like to cloud, like essentially cloud their minds, cloud the council.
The way I look at it is the Jedi Council. The Jedi Council is clouding their own mind with fear because they're afraid of losing their power. They're afraid. Like every interaction.
Fear leads to anger.
That's so funny because like Yoda's like fear's bad, but then right after they're like, no, we can't train him. We're afraid of him. It's like you guys are hypocrites.
No, I really do think because it just makes so much sense that like the senator or chancellor lives. They live in the same like area, the same building almost, and like he's always there.
But he would have to be constantly like force meditating to even to make himself not known to anyone for years and years. I think it's more believable that the Jedi Order is just so blind.
I think well, for one, I think Palpatine is such a strong Sith that we don't really know the extent of his power, and also I think that that just clouding his. I don't think he's clouding their minds. I think he's clouding his presence, but like, or essentially like to where they don't think that he's a Sith, but they do think something seems weird, but they don't really know what it is, and I think that's what leads to them having.
Yeah, but that's lame.
That's okay. I think it's much cooler than the other thing, but anyway.
Yeah, but the way I see it, it's more thematically connected with just showing, because again, like the whole point of these prequel trilogies is to show, and I mean it even comes up in the sequel trilogy where Luke reads all the old documents and realizes how actually corrupt and just maybe not corrupt is the right word, how just inept the Jedi Order was and how they allowed. I mean, he says it himself. They allowed Darth Vader to rise. They allowed the Emperor to take power. They allowed it because they didn't want it to be real.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is it's the flaws and it's one of the themes I do like about the original or the prequel trilogies is how it kind of shows the ineffectiveness of Democrats and Republicans, right? It's like the both sides. Like it's like I
don't think it gets that specific. It just
no, but it's well, you have the Jedi who are kind of like, I guess they fall under more like the liberal camp, and then you have like the other side which falls under like the more like whatever conservative camp, and both sides are clearly like just wrong, right? Like it and that's, I don't know. I like that they kind of go into that, or however you want to view it.
I don't see it that way at all. I see it as just a good intention being dulled by bureaucracy and by laziness and fear. Because that's what the Jedi Order. Because the Jedi Order for hundreds of years, I mean, there was peace reigned in the galaxy, and they just got complacent and then that set the stage for Palpatine to just be like, whoop, I'm just going to take over and no one's even going to notice. What a
All right,
sucker.
we got cruise through this a little faster.
Nope.
We're at a snail's pace right now.
Prophecy. It's the prophecy of the chosen one. My headcanon is that the Sith created the prophecy so they could take advantage of it later, but that's just my headcanon. Let's see. Palpatine. I love that Palpatine like worm tongues Padme all the time. He's just like gets by her shoulder and it's just like. So they vote. She moves to a vote of no confidence against Chancellor Valorum, and I love Chancellor's face because he's just kind of like, she's like, I vote for no confidence towards Chancellor Valorium, and then Chancellor Valorium's face is like, yeah, and Palpatine's like, because like I don't know, I just love the Chancellor's reaction because it's the face of a man who knows he's ineffectual anyway. He's just like, the bureaucrats are in control anyway. All right, whatever, I quit.
So we vote. We have the big political thing, and then we get to
ET's in the audience.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Why not?
Okay. Yeah. It's like okay.
George and Spielberg always trade stuff, so whatever.
Sure.
Then Qui-Gon goes to the council and is like, I must train this boy.
Let me train this boy. He's got lots of midichlorians.
And they're like that. But the reason they don't train him is that they can't see his future. That's the whole thing. Like they say multiple times, like his future is uncertain. Therefore, we should just let him be. We should just like not try to help this boy, even though he's obviously like an incredibly powerful Jedi user, or incredibly Jedi user. He's kind of a Jedi user.
I'm gonna use
incredible powerful, powerful Force user. Just because he has an unknown future, because they're afraid of no future, right? They're afraid of not being in control, so they're like, no, I don't want this boy. He's scary.
And I'm okay with it because I think because he was born of the Force that he doesn't have a chosen actual destiny, that he's like a blank slate, that he could go either way.
Yeah, that's why I think the fate, but like there's no fate, but there is fate. It's like this predestination paradox, because like they had a choice there. They had a choice to train him and to not fear him, but in making a choice, they set into motion. They made the predestination.
Initially saying that they were too afraid to train him, that already sets the like in motion the like doubt that they have in him throughout the entire trilogy,
and the doubt that he has
in turn makes him pissed off because they don't trust him. He's like, they don't trust me.
They don't
call me a master. They don't even fucking make me a Jedi.
It's true. And so then they go outside. Him and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have a scene, which is funny because Obi-Wan's like, "You really should listen to the Council, Master." And Qui-Gon goes, "Yeah." Qui-Gon's like, "I shall do what I must, Obi-Wan." It's just like, where have I heard that before? You must do what you feel is right, of course.
You must do what you feel is right, of course.
Like, I don't know. It's just a nice little like. You can just tell that Qui-Gon trained Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan kind of learns to put those lessons into practice later.
No, that's I'm down with that scene.
He says that he still has much to learn, but then a couple scenes later he's like, oh no, he's good, he's ready to be a Jedi Knight.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later. It's like, okay,
he's ready. Let's do it.
Let's see. Oh yeah, so then the whole scene is really good between them, because then Qui-Gon is like, Obi-Wan's like, it's not disrespect, Master, it's the truth. And then Qui-Gon goes, from your point of view. Again, another like,
from a certain point of view.
Yeah, like I don't know, it's retroactive, but I feel like it works. Like him being trained by this person kind of like affected his personality later.
Other than the fact that they mentioned multiple times that Obi-Wan was trained by Yoda.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no getting around that one.
Yeah, oh yeah, Qui-Gon.
There's no headcanoning in that one. That one's just like,
No, that's just bad.
Yeah.
Even though Qui-Gon's a great, like compared to everything in the trilogies, or the prequels, he's definitely one of the highlights. But he definitely does not exist. But maybe
he's responsible for training.
Do you think Obi-Wan's actually fucking crazy, and Qui-Gon it doesn't exist,
or he's just a Force ghost? Because Qui-Gon knows how to Force ghost. He's the one who teaches Yoda and Obi-Wan how to Force ghost.
Yeah,
that was
funny.
Before
I actually didn't realize until recently that Force Ghost was an actual power, an ability that you had to train for, and that it's not because I was like, why do some Jedis disappear and some don't? And they're like, it's because you can either choose to have your body like go back into the flow of the Force when you die,
take it out.
And that's why most dark side users don't train that way. Yeah. Because they don't care. They're like, oh, if I'm dead, it doesn't matter. So I don't need to go back to the Force. I'm just fucking dead. Fuck it. Anyways,
no,
continue.
I like that too. Which kind of like the Jedis who aren't trained that become Force ghosts. That kind of makes sense too, because I mean, it's not like it's just a skill. It could be focused as a skill, but I imagine if you have enough force, if you have enough will power, you could turn into a Force ghost. But it's super hard. And then Qui-Gon even says, like, your focus defines your reality. Just extremely relativistic for a Jedi. Jedis are very... They always say, like, only the Sith deal in absolutes, which is an absolute statement, which is just like, wow, guys, good job.
Yeah, that writing is not the best.
No, I think they did it on purpose, because the Jedi are so full of themselves that they're like, only the Sith deal in absolutes. He said absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they have their heads up their ass, man. But Qui-Gon doesn't. He goes, your focus defines your reality.
I'm glad you can find deeper meaning in some of these lines that I'm sure were not intended that way.
I don't think that's true, man. Maybe not intended, but I mean,
no, it is cool. That's why I like when people when a movie gets universally destroyed when it comes out, but then like later is kind of forgiven because it's already been so destroyed that it's like, well, might as well just watch this for the fuck of it, like, and then you start to see some things that you beforehand you weren't paying attention to because you were just like, I hate this, 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 instead of like actually focusing on what was good, what was bad. I
think the seed is true. Of like truth seed, another good name. But it was just like, I mean, George Lucas is very good at using archetypes and using like myths and using large stories to tell smaller stories. I mean, that's all Star Wars was, right? It's just a collection of myths connected together to make like something that seems familiar, but it's about space and there's aliens and stuff. So I don't think this was all just an accident. I think like he thought this out. He just is a bad writer. I'm just gonna say it. He's just not a good writer. But yes, he. This is another thing I noticed. It's probably overthinking, but again, I think this is like something that maybe he wanted to flesh out, but he sucked at. So Palpatine. Palpatine has his body double, Sidious, and he manipulates two parties using them to get to basically take over the galaxy.
Does Palpatine actually have a body double, or does he's just...
No, I mean he plays. You know what I mean?
Okay, he has his other personality.
Yes. Just like Padme, and she plays the queen, and then sometimes she plays the handmaiden. I think they were trying.
But Padme actually literally has a body double.
No. I know. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of a coincidence to have one movie with two characters that have doubles.
Yeah,
I definitely think they were trying to say something with that. I don't know. It's just kind of a coincidence that they both two characters on opposite sides of the antagonist-protagonist spectrum, both from the same planet, and they both have doubles, so to speak. I don't know. Interesting. And then they leave they leave Coruscant because basically Padme's like, fine, we'll just do it ourselves, which is so funny because she gets that idea from Jar Jar, which you can hardly tell she gets it from Jar Jar because you cannot understand what Jar Jar says hardly ever. But she's talking to Jar Jar. I know she's talking at Jar Jar. Jar Jar's talking at her, whatever. And he mentions
she's letting Jar Jar happen to her.
Letting Jar Jar happen. Like, well, just let it happen. And he mentions that the Gungans have big army.
Really,
I don't
big army.
Yeah, he's like, that's why I don't think Naboo like us. And I think at that point she's like, they have a big army. Wait, we should unify our planet, and then we can just kick their ass. So that's what she does. She's like, wait, I can just do this.
To Naboo, and they prepare for war.
Pretty much, they go. Let's see, does anything happen? Not really. They go to Boss Nass.
Yeah, and then he's like,
yeah. And it's so funny because all he wanted was the Queen to just show some sympathy and to show some friendship towards him. That's all he wanted. Like,
hey, Queen, nice girl, let's go help.
Maybe we should be friends, right?
We should be your friends.
And it's so funny because suddenly, like, okay, she knows that she's going to meet Boss Nass to like form an alliance, but she still has her body double go. Like, okay,
Boss Nass can murder. He could be a murderer.
Yeah, maybe it just shows like the kind of innate distrust they have between each other. They're like, no, I want to do this, but I'm gonna send my body double just in case. But then I think when she sees how wrong she was and how friendly they actually are, she's like, oh wait, no, I'm actually the Queen. Please, I need.
And he's like,
please help
us. But like, wait.
Yeah,
what?
and yeah, because Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan kind of look at each other like, but then Anakin's like, whoa.
He does a Boss Nass.
Yeah.
So they agree to help. Then
they agree to help.
They start all preparing for war.
This is interesting. They show a scene between Palpatine and our Sidious and Maul. And Maul is like, are we ready to attack them? And then Sidious says something that is not something a dark side user would say.
This isn't on Coruscant, right? This is
on.
They're already.
Yes.
Where are they?
They're on Naboo as well. They must have just followed right after.
Ship. Are they in a ship? Okay.
But Sidious says, "Be mindful. Let them make the first move," which, that's just not a Sith thing to say or do, because Sith are all about passion. Sith are all about action. Sith are all about go until you burn out. Brighter, shorter. That's what the dark side's all about. And again, I think that's why Palpatine is such a great villain, because he not only subverts what a Sith should be in lore, but he like. That's why I think he is kind of the he could be perceived as the imbalance that needs to be balanced. The fact that he is a Sith and a light, he can use the dark side and the light side, but is using them for evil means, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is the at first I didn't love the fact that like Rise of Skywalker brought back Palpatine, but at the same time I was like, I mean, how else would they really end this? I mean, it's the whole damn it
should have been done a hell of a lot better in terms of like actually introducing him as a character, but whatever.
The trilogy. I mean, it kind of
trilogy.
It only makes sense to bring back Palpatine to end everything, because I mean he's literally.
But they could have at least set him up for a return, instead of just bringing him back in a text crawl. But whatever, we'll talk about that later.
He's a clone.
Okay.
That's in like a ton of the extended lore, though.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean that like.
I mean,
actual setup. They literally bring him back in a text crawl, and then one day he made a TV announcement that he was back, and then that happened. Okay.
It's messy, but yeah. Anyways, we start
Padme,
preparing for war.
Padme drops, which is great because after she finally unifies the Gungans and the Naboo. She drops the queen clothes, but she still has the queen speech patterns. So, like, in a way, now that she's balanced her planet, now she is more balanced in herself. She's casual and she's uptight. I don't know. Qui-Gon takes Anakin on this super dangerous mission, like incredibly dangerous. Whatever. They go in, and then Duel of the Fates.
He tells Anakin's waiting in the ship, right? He tells him to wait. He's waiting in the Naboo fighter.
Yeah,
don't do anything crazy. You
he's like, don't
child.
get out of that cockpit. He's like, all right.
So you're gonna put this kid who's obsessed with like engineering and like gadgets. Yeah. It's like, don't you dare fucking move out of this place.
Hey, you're like the best pilot we've ever seen, but don't touch any of those gadgets.
And they're what are they? Are they on their way to Darth Maul? Like ambushes them, right?
Yeah, he ambushes them.
And because they're on their, what are they on their way to do?
Basically, the tactic is the Gungans will create a diversion with the battle outside, and then the Queen and the two Jedi and the pilots, which interestingly enough, if you pay attention, those like 12 or so pilots have been with them the whole movie in the background because they escaped. They're like with Amidala and stuff. Yeah, they escaped with them from Naboo, and they were with them on Tatooine. They were with them on Coruscant. They were like in the background.
I actually liked some of the stuff when they were running around the palace halls, and they're like sneaking around, and they're like doing the little like fucking
yeah.
They're like I kind of like that stuff.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so they're gonna sneak in, and they're going to break into the Queen's room where the Gunray is, and basically they're such pushovers. All they have to do is just capture Gunray, and then he'll give up because they're a bunch of pussies, basically.
Yeah, so they basically just threatened Gunray was what they were
like
going to do.
That's their plan. But like they were going to like split
listen
up.
here, Viceroy.
They were going to split up, and the pilots were going to get back on their starfighters and go up and see if they can take care of that control ship that's controlling all the bots,
all the droids.
Yeah. And in the middle of that, they get ambushed by Maul.
And so we have the classic split fight between the Jedi, the classic, the wannabe Return of the Jedi split, the three-way.
I think it was done pretty well.
I mean the editing, I guess, but like the
direction was good.
The only it's just the droid fight to me. So we're splitting between the three-way Jedi fight, or the two Jedi and the Sith fight in that room, and then we keep cutting to the Gungans fighting the droid army. They're creating the distraction so that the ships can knock out the communicator. But the thing is to me, this is the most obvious quality like dissonance, because it keeps, so you go from one of the best saber fights in the whole pantheon of the movies. A lot of people argue it is the best one. They
dance around too much.
It's fucking cool. And the
that was
song
my impression of you.
Is I know. Thank you. I was just making an assessment. Yeah, if you want to dance while you fight, that's fine. But I prefer to survive, and we clearly know why we didn't all survive. So they fight Darth Maul. Duel of the Fates starts. So not only is it one of the best saber battles, but it's also like one of the best songs that
hands down
that John Williams has ever written, which is really
Let's be honest. I think Phantom Menace has probably one of the best soundtracks in general. I love the music in this movie.
Yeah, because it's a good mix of old and new. I think there's some really, really good stuff in the new trilogy as well. Like I really like Rey's theme and stuff like that. But
there's some of the themes, but Rise of Skywalker just like the greatest hits. I was like, okay, I'm sick of hearing the Force theme. Okay,
Star Wars, the safe movie.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, we had this really amazing scene, and then when we switch to space, it's not terrible, but like to me, when we switch to the ground, it's not just like I don't think it's like filmed bad, but it's just it shows because we're in this huge field with nothing but CG. It's like a field with nothing but CG, so you start to really see the limitations.
I don't think putting it in, as much as I like the beautiful Windows XP looking field, and I do, it looks pretty. It looks pretty, but just design wise, it does not help.
It's just a big because there's nothing tactile about it. It's just like a big open field, and literally the Gungans have this big shield up thing, and they're like, okay, don't come here.
And it really I don't think the CGI is nearly as bad as you think it is. I think it aged pretty well considering, because like just like CGI in 1999 did not look. It looked bad.
No,
there was
that was one of the things that when we saw that as a kid, we did like that part, because obviously that part like was awesome.
But like I do agree that the like if they would have just put it in a forest or put some trees somewhere, like anything like that would have detracted from the like explicit use of CGI. If they would have just had something design wise to keep your eye. I
also think that the Gungans, there was a huge missed opportunity for their fighting style. I don't like that they just literally launch big fucking blue balls
of bombs, basically
shit like goo that creates a EMP. You know, like it's like
they just happen to have these EMP goo bombs.
Gungans, how cool? but how cool would it be? Even if the EMP thing is not even my problem. Like, how cool would it be if they are doing the EMP? If they have these devices, why not attach them to like a staff or something to where they can like run out there and like actually do some damage to these droids? And I don't have as much of an issue with the droids because, like you said, they are meant to be disposable. Yeah. They're ants or whatever. So like them being so fragile isn't too ridiculous, because obviously it's just a cheap, way to win a war.
Yeah, because I mean the Neimoidians didn't want to win by force. They just wanted to win legally. So they didn't really need to hunt. They didn't really need a fighting army, so to speak.
But to me, it just what it does is it takes a goofy ass bunch of droids that are going Roger, Roger, blah blah blah.
I like that shit. Roger, Roger.
Takes a big goofy ass fucking race of Gungans. They're all like, ooh, and they're throwing big balls. And to me, it's just like this big cartoon fight. And I'm just like, cool. What is this? This doesn't feel like Star Wars. This is the most un-Star Wars feeling battle ever.
I'll probably agree. I'll agree with that sentiment. Like, it would have been cool if the Gungans would have been more martially capable.
Yeah, like
because it would have.
They have an army. Why do they not know how to fight?
No, I get, because like there hasn't been any war, so it's probably just been a standing army for like decades and decades. They haven't really been training, but some type of martial aptitude would have been nice.
Yeah, they don't need. I think that like stabs or like spears or something, because they're kind of a tribal. They could have these spears, and they could have had like the blue shit on the end of it, and like when they stabbed the droids, they would like zap out. And I mean, that just, again, like you said, it's like what this could have been. Like what this could have been if it was made with someone that told George no,
that's a bad idea, George.
And I compare a lot of this to and I'll get into it later, but anyways, so yeah, we have that, and we have it split, and then of course you have Anakin accidentally like, what am I doing? Oh no, the shit's flying.
It's funny because like he accidentally takes off at the same time Jar Jar accidentally kills a bunch of droids. It's just like I get what they're going for with like being able to just go with the will of the Force. Like that's one of the main throughs of the movie.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to just be able to like lay on the floor and a bunch of like your enemies get killed, because
he doesn't. Like, that's not what happens. That's not what happened. He basically three stooges his way through a battle. I think technically, like just from like a mechanical point of view.
You're talking about Jar Jar?
Yeah.
No, see, my problem with Jar Jar isn't nearly as big as my problem with what they do with Anakin. The Jar Jar's whatever. It's fine. I've learned to accept that battle. It's not my favorite. It's probably the worst like actual like battle, like big huge battle in the whole
worst
series.
Star Wars battle.
But it's still like you said, it's still just it's a big cartoon. It's a big cartoon.
Yeah.
And then we have Anakin in space, and he's just like, there's all these like experienced pilots. They're flying around.
Pod racing.
And he's like, oh cool, and oh let's go over there. Oh shoot. Oh man. Whoa, what crazy. And
well, they did have a scene earlier about in the middle of the movie where one of the Naboo pilots was actually teaching Anakin how to fly.
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, he's able to freaking pilot a pod racer, which a human shouldn't be able to do.
It's on autopilot.
No, it's the Naboo starfighter is on autopilot until he gets out of the atmosphere, and then he's like, "Hey, R2, just can you take it off autopilot?"
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So he like
and like, why does that helmet fit him?
Does it though? I feel like it kind of like flops over his head.
It's a little bit big, but like, dude, he's a tiny kid. That
Hey,
helmet, like,
I don't know. Jake Lloyd's got a big head. I don't know if you're listening, Jake Lloyd. No offense, but you had a really big head as a 9-year-old.
Why does that helmet fit him? Like, it does though. Like, it's not even that big. Like, it's like a child-sized helmet.
Yeah,
like
that's pretty funny.
And then so he knocks out the fucking droid communicator.
Yeah.
And all the droids die, and they deactivate, and all the Gungans are like, do the Ewok thing.
But at the same time, the duel of the fates is happening.
Same time, the cool part of the movie is actually happening.
Great, like just the greatest action scene.
And they're fighting, and they get Obi-Wan gets stuck behind a laser wall.
You hate the laser walls? I like the laser walls.
No, I don't actually. I don't mind. I was just.
You're just throwing. You're just.
I'm just throwing. I throw shade.
Oh, okay, I see.
You throw shade, I throw shade. You know what I'm saying?
It's really. You know why you don't see my face very well? It's the shade.
But I think that it's necessary for Obi-Wan to see Darth Maul to kill his master. I mean, it's because otherwise he wouldn't just be standing there watching.
Yeah, and plus, it's not very believable for Qui-Gon to be like. It's just like, this guy's a Jedi Master, and this unknown Sith is just going to kill one of these Jedi while fighting both of them. That's a little unbelievable. But that they're split apart, it's convenient. Whatever. It's Star Wars. It's all about plot convenience. It's all Star Wars is. But I like the little laser walls come up, and like it perfectly like shows each of the characters' character. Like you have Qui-Gon, who just calmly kneels down, starts meditating, and then you have Maul, who just starts pacing.
He's pacing.
He's mad dogging.
I love. He's like a panther. He's literally like a panther pacing back and forth in his cage. And again, I know it's a little on the nose, but I really like it. I don't care. I really like that whole scene. There's nothing wrong with that scene at all.
Well, I mean, like the whole fight, because I feel like there are a couple problems with it, but that could be walked around. And I like how Obi-Wan is kind of like just anxious looking. Because he's obviously still a Padawan. Like, he's just like, come on.
Because he's a Padawan. He's got the Padawan look, but like you said, Qui-Gon's this like meditative, and then Maul is this like this pure anger, right?
Pure
he's like
emotion and passion. Yeah.
He's like pure hatred. He's like the embodiment.
I don't see. I don't see that. I don't.
Not
see
hatred.
That. I see
hatred's wrong. Pure ferocity.
Yeah, I feel like because okay, then the walls come up, then they come down, and then it's just Maul and Qui-Gon fighting, and Maul, like, obviously Qui-Gon is like, he just got done talking to the Force, right? He's just like, he just got done focusing himself with the will of the Force, and he starts fighting Maul, and Maul defeats him. Now Maul never shows any kind of Force acumen. I don't even think in any of the extended stuff, like he's a Sith, but he's more of a swordsman than a Force user. Like he doesn't use the Force.
He is a pure Sentinel.
He's a pure sword fighter. Like he doesn't really use the Force. He doesn't use Force abilities. I
never even thought about that he doesn't like use Force choke. He doesn't use lightning.
You can see this fight as kind of like
he uses like his jump, like the jump a little bit, like like the like quick move and the jump and stuff, like the basic ass like moves or whatever. But yeah, he's just this more primal. He's like a primal Sith.
Which again, like I think just them two fighting is just like the perfect symbolism of just what a Jedi is and what a Sith is. Because even like most Sith generally don't use the Force, because the Force takes patience to use, unless it's raw power. Like raw power, like if you're going to use a Force ability as a Sith, it's probably going to be something that's just raw power. Where if a Jedi, exactly, like Force lightning, where a Jedi will use more like, lifting things, pushing things, like more
like Force, or like in extended universe, like you have like Force heal, you have like Bastila, who can erase memory. She can erase the memories of any person.
In black. But yeah, it's perfect that
Luke, I know whatever in the Last Jedi, Luke's like Force project. That's like a perfect example of like
I like that shit. Hell, I even like Leia's floaty.
I don't like that.
I like it. But to me, it makes sense that Qui-Gon would lose because he gets defeated by a swordsman. He doesn't get defeated by the Force, so to speak. It's like I feel like he knew he was going to die. I don't know.
So you think he Obi-Wan himself in front of Obi-Wan?
Yes, in a way.
But he didn't like surrender. Like
no.
He didn't like just like
But I feel like he knew. I feel like he knew because you're so in tune with the will of the Force, and to get defeated by someone who's not a Force user at all, it's just like, really thinking. I don't know. That's just just mind canon speculation. But I like to think that he knew he was going to eat it.
So Maul killed him, and that's not that's not crazy. That's not crazy because he did just get done meditating, so he's very balanced, and then he's like, but Maul kills him.
Obi-Wan freaks out.
Obi-Wan's like, no, and then the fucking thing comes up, and he just runs at him, and of course he tries the pure ferocity approach, which he's gonna get beaten by Maul because ferocity is Maul's specialty, and he gets knocked off. Knocked off onto the ledge, and he's down there, and Maul is just pacing back and forth, just fucking like.
I love that, like a cat
when he's
swiping
the fucking he's very cat-like.
He's very cat-like.
And then when Obi-Wan realizes that like he needs to center himself like Qui-Gon, and he needs to be like a tactician, and he needs to think about his next move, and he's down there, and this is the whole thing, right? Is the whole that whole meme? It's like, oh, I have the high ground. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. And this is why Obi-Wan's the best fucking Jedi in the entire pantheon of Star Wars.
I mean, that's just
because
obvious.
This motherfucker can have the low ground or the high ground, and he's gonna fuck you up. He's also fucking won like way more battles than anybody else. Like, how many fucking fights has he been in? Like he's been in so many battles.
I feel like Obi-Wan kind of like learned the power of the high ground in this scene, and I think when he was fighting Anakin, like he used this bit of knowledge he learned, because the reason he really beat Maul
is because he had the low ground. Maul was overconfident.
Because Maul was overconfident. Maul was like, "I got you now, little bitch."
Like, what are you? And
Obi-Wan's like,
"What are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do?" Okay, and then he takes
and
advantage
then
of the situation.
What and also I love that they went all like anime with this. It's so cool how he just like and he just like sliced through him, and then you just see him like fall. And I was like,
it's very
stylish. Oh hell yeah!
It's very stylistic.
As a kid, and then just seeing when his body hits like one of the beams, right, and his body just splits in two. Like I was like, that's so fucking cool. I was like, that is so cool. That's dark too. I was like, that's super dark. You don't see like we haven't seen any sort of like dismemberment.
No,
since
from the hand.
Since the hand or the original really gory part from 4.
The hand. Yeah.
The only time from 4 when you see the actual blood, which you don't see blood from dismemberment and lightsabers ever again.
Yeah. Well, I think they retconned that as like, I mean, lightsabers would cauterize, but then like it's like, well, what about that guy's arm? Don't worry about it.
Well, what they can say is that that certain alien race there, they won't cauterize their wounds.
Or maybe Obi-Wan's lightsaber was a little low on power.
So then everyone wins. Anakin comes back to base.
Yep.
They have the big ceremony.
Yes, Palpatine is like, I'm
very proud.
Like, I'm Chancellor now, which is like, wow. And then he goes to Anakin and he's like, we will watch your career with great interest. Foreshadowing.
There's no foreshadowing in this movie.
Not at all. So yeah, like Palpatine is so great. Like he played in the Nemodians to like not fear the Naboo. He's like, oh, they're just weak Naboos. Don't worry about them. And then he played Naboo against the Nemodians. Like he's just like playing both sides. He's a tactical genius. Again, long term, which is not what Sith do. That's why he's just like the best bad guy, because he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna use the light side.
Oh yeah, he plays the long game in seemingly every trilogy.
Yeah. Which I mean, that's exactly what he's doing when he's lying with the truth. He's taking the truth. He's taking something that usually Sith don't do, is tell the truth, but he's using it for his own means, just like he's using the light side, where he's like, calm down, wait, I'm going to basically he's like, I'm gonna play the long con with this kid. I'm gonna get him to love me and hate the Jedi.
Palpatine's like he's like Wormtongue, Saruman, and Sauron all put together.
He's a perfect villain. He's probably my favorite villain.
He's like all three, like of the. He's like, because he's like the whisperer, the advisor, and then he's like the.
It's true.
He's
like,
I'm
he's
actually
the advisor. He's the power.
It's the Saruman thing where he's like, oh, you're actually a bad guy now? Oh my god. And then he's like, yes, I am, you fuckholes. And then
bad guy the whole time.
And then like he reaches like, he's like Sauron a level or whatever in the new trilogy, or the Rise of Skywalker at least. He's just like an entire entity of fucking darkness. But yeah.
So they have the Jedi funeral with Qui-Gon, which Jedi we see funeral. Like, hey, that's where
Qui-Gon does not have the ability to disappear, as we see. Which is, I always thought was weird. I was like,
which is really strange, because later, like I said, later they say how he's the one, he knows how to Force Ghost. It's just like, but he didn't his body. I don't know. That's why I just make up my own canon with Star Wars, because there's no consistency. You just have fun with it. Just have fun.
Sure.
But yeah, then they have the big celebration. They hold up the orb together, which, oh my gosh, the two sides of the planet are one again. Whoa!
They mimic literally the ending of Episode 4, essentially. It's just more of a bit on a bigger scale, which again, it's not like a new thing. Yeah. It's just a celebration of the
Episode 7.
It's just that. Excuse me.
What? Huh? Oh, I thought we were talking about mimicking older Star Wars movies. Continue.
So, anyways, that's our analyzation of Episode 1.
Yeah, I like Episode 1. I'm willing.
You love Episode 1.
Well, I love talking about Episode 1. I like watching it.
I'm gonna have a lot more fun talking about the other episodes, because this is clearly far and away the least I enjoy watching a Star Wars movie is Episode 1. It's not that it's not a fun movie to watch. Like it's not like we were talking about the Battle of the Five Armies, which is like, it's not even entertaining to watch.
It's not even fun to watch.
It's entertaining to watch Episode 1, and I've learned to like it a little more. But I've been able to get around Jar Jar. I can get around some of the stupid shit they do in this movie and the weird CGI and all kinds of that shit. And I can learn to love some of the more positive things about the movie, like pod race and the final saber battle, and some of the decently written lines here and there. And Natalie Portman being hot.
That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a super unpopular opinion, I know. But
no, I mean, she's like 13. That's pretty weird, man.
She's not 13. They filmed that movie. She was like,
Whatever you say is still gonna be weird. So just
she was absolutely 18 when they filmed that movie. Well, it's because when I was a kid.
No, I get it. I'm just razzing.
I thought she was an angel. Are you an angel? I'm from planet. I'm from the angel planet. An angel.
I think you're an angel.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I've learned, but the one thing I have not been able to get past. I just can't get past Anakin. Every time he says things, hands down, the most glaring, not just the most glaring flaw of the movie, but the glaring flaw that all they have, if they fix that, then like it raises the movie up substantially, and that's why it
brings the movie down.
To me, that's why when I hear people talk about how episode 2 is so much worse than episode 1, I really don't understand it, because to me,
I understand it because people focus on those romance scenes, which
the romance scenes are like, it's like 10 minutes fucking long.
I know.
It's so short. It's like very short.
Super short.
It's like, yeah, it's bad. It's very bad. Yes, it's very fucking bad. But then like the rest of that movie is like actually fun to watch. Like really legitimately fun. And we'll get into that when we obviously
we'll get into that tomorrow or next week, whenever it is.
We're watching all of these
I'm watching them all tonight, man. You better be ready. I'm gonna write lots of notes. I hope you like to hear me talk about thematic qualities and symbolism, because too bad.
But
thanks for watching Critical Screen. This review analysis is officially longer than the movie.
And this was brought to you by Carrington's chapstick. Get for your mouth.
Carrington chapstick. It's for your mouth.
It's for your mouth.
Have a great night, folks.
Hey, we love you. God bless America, and God bless Star Wars, even if the first one sucks.
It doesn't suck. It's just not very good.
Yes, it